everyone. Welcome to the Royal News Network Saturday morning live stream. I hope you guys are all having a fantastic and amazing week. And of course, Friday ended off with Meghan Markle sharing a new initiative that she'll probably forget within the next 10 minutes. We also have Catherine, the Princess of Wales, making her first joint engagement with her husband this year. Although we did see her at Trooping, we saw her at Wimbledon. We've seen her, I feel like, one other time, or maybe those are just social media posts. Anyways, I feel like this is the first kind of concrete appearance of Catherine that we've seen. We also have Prince Harry spouting nonsense yet again about the internet, as if he and Meghan really sound like the most absent parents ever, because they're so shocked, I tell you, shocked that sometimes bad things happen on the internet, and it's the internet's fault, though. It's not any fault of the parent. So if you give your kid a tablet and something terrible happens and you weren't watching them and they're 8 years old, that's the internet's fault, not your fault as a parent. Again, I just feel like that's such a terrible message to send to parents, that you don't, like, it should be somebody else's job to watch your child. No, it's your job. If you give that job to somebody else, there might be consequences. Just saying. We also have Queen Mary and King Frederick doing a lot of things, including the Icelandic state visit. And I do actually have a video on the Icelandic state visit for the fashion channel that I need to edit, and a video on Meghan Markle's Girls Inc. And she's the most bullied person in the world. I have those videos, but my computer kept crashing last night. So I was like, well, I'll restart. I'll start tomorrow again. I see if I can get those done, because I had so many thoughts about the Girls Inc. stuff, and that there's just, it doesn't seem to be a lot of interest in, Archie. I did want to get this out of frame, cross stitcher little magazine. Anyway, so we do have Cheryl T in Oklahoma says, good morning, Brittany and Miss Pippa. Goose, Vinny, Misty, and Trey, Foster, and Squeaky the cat say woof and meow to Miss Pippa. Hope everyone is well and safe. My daughter's 21st birthday is today, so see you later. Well, I thank you so much, and I hope she has a fantastic birthday. And thank you so much, Goose, Vinny, Misty, and Trey, and Squeaky. Miss Pippa gives her woof woof in response. Of course, she was so sweet, though. We were driving yesterday, and there was a woman who was, asking for money and those sorts of things at an intersection. And Miss Pippa saw her and she went crazy. She went so crazy. I had to pull the window down, and the woman was so excited to give her a pets. And I'm like, oh, my sweet Pippa. All right, so let's go. We got Lizzie B. Hello, Ms. Brittany and Miss Pippa. Good morning. You have Ridge Walker. No one has spent so much money on clothes to look so bad. That's true. Although I will say that this last outfit wasn't bad. Well, wasn't terrible. Oh, I guess she did the LA thing with the horrid red dress on Saturday. It feels like it's so long ago, but the week's moved. Went to California this week for a YouTube event, and so I guess everything's blurring together. But yeah, that was on Saturday. I'm sorry, but that is the ugliest dress ever. It is so hideous. It is so horribly constructed. It's just ugly. It's just ugly. It's just horrid. All right, Patricia, good morning, everyone. We got Karen, good morning from gorgeous Northern California. Rebecca, good morning, Brittany and Miss Pippa. Does Meghan have a stylist? If not, she definitely needs one. The thing is, and this has always been Meghan's problem, she thinks she knows everything. And so even if she has a stylist, she probably doesn't listen to them, or she hires somebody that just goes, yeah, you look great, ma'am. She just hires yes people. Those are the only two people she hires. If they're competent, if they tell her no, if they tell her, oh, you shouldn't do X, Y, and Z, that's why they're gone. That's why the guy who is supposedly going to be Harry's chief of staff, and maybe theirs together, I'm not sure. It's been advertised as just Harry's chief of staff. I think that's why he left, is because he told them, no, that wasn't a good idea. And they just kept doing things without him. I think that, again, the pattern with Meghan and her employees is that occasionally she'll hire competent people. Or most of the people they hire are pretty competent. But I think most of them turn into just yes men. If you tell them no, or you tell them, oh, that's not a good idea, and Harry and Meghan do it anyways, and the blowback is really bad, they go to you and complain to you. Well, you shouldn't have let me do that. I was like, but I tried. They're like, but you should have tried harder. It's like, you can't win. So that's the type of employers Harry and Meghan are. Joanne Fisher, good morning, all from Triple Digits, Arizona. Oh gosh. I was really excited. It was it's kind of weird right now because it's starting to really cool down at night here where I am. So last night I went to bed at freezing cold. And then I woke up super hot because the heat finally clicked on. So we're in this state where it's kind of like, and today's going to be pretty warm because I had to do a quick run because I really needed milk because I really wanted hot chocolate, because I think because of the cold air initially when I went to sleep, and I like having the fan on when I sleep. I like the circulation of the air. I kind of am off. So I think I got a lot of cool air down my throat last night, which is not always good. So we have Dfan. Thank you so much for the support. Do you think Meghan will prevent the children from knowing about their royal heritage? Fourth generation Catholic, and I love my Catholic heritage. No, I definitely think she will fully embrace the royal heritage. She'll just tell them they're all terrible. Use and abuse the royal title, the honey, but the royal system, they're just colonials and racists and all these sorts of things. Like she'll make those types of statements to her children. And so she's fully, again, she fully and Harry are mimicking royalty 1,000%, even though they said they couldn't go hated it. And then they are doing all these, it's so weird. It's so weird. I don't think they really care all that much about a lot of things in some ways. But I don't think but Meghan also knows diddly squat about the British monarchy, and Harry is rather dim. And so I don't think he could tell you much about the British monarchy either in its history. So these kids will be pretty gosh darn clueless. I mean, it's like the blind leading the dumb here. This is not going to go super well. And so there's not going to be a lot of heritage that they pass on. Because again, Meghan she likes to think of herself as deep, but she's fickle, she's shallow, she's vain, she's vapid. And so because of that, like the idea of her kids getting like a really in-depth appreciation for the British monarchy is like slim to none, sadly. Lisa Schroeder says, good morning, everyone. Love, love, love seeing Catherine doing more events. Yes, this is going to be very slow, but yeah, I think it's going to definitely grow for sure. All right, we got Steven. Thank you so much for the support. Archwell Inc. donated $50K in their 2021 Form 990 to Girls Incorporated, but zero in 2022. The CEO of Girls in 23-24 got $746,000. Wow, that is a lot. That is a lot. And that's kind of sometimes what charities turn into, is like it's really profitable for the people at the top. And that's sad. But yeah, I just don't see, like, Archwell can only donate like 50,000 was good. I feel like they could only, again, I think the max Harry and Meghan could go out is 100,000, maybe 250, but the returns are slowing. I think the announcement, like I said in the video about their career change, I think the announcement that they're changing careers is an indication that Netflix has dropped them. They're like, no, we're not going to do this dog and pony show anymore. You can't give us content. And again, Meghan is so incompetent at her own public image because she's doing this stupid Girls Inc. thing. And I say stupid in terms of not that the organization itself is stupid. I don't really know that much about it. But I think her emphasis always seems to be like moving to the next thing, like to do these kind of weird charity things that mimic royalty. Because I don't see Melinda Gates and Oprah Winfrey doing the same thing. And they've also contributed probably far more than Meghan Markle could ever hope to contribute. And yet she doesn't have a job. Like, this is not a job. This doesn't make you money. Like, you need to actually make money. Why aren't you focusing on American Riviera Orchard? You should be slaving at that company until it's up and running rather than doing another thing that offers another distraction. Like, they constantly distract themselves by moving to different like charitable endeavors and then rarely ever following up and doing anything of significance. And I just think as like a business, if I'm supposed to invest in Meghan Markle, I'm like, well, why are you doing this Girls Inc. thing? You don't have a business that's off the ground. You've lost Netflix. And let's say this is behind the scenes. So you lost Spotify. We know you guys maybe have one or two like things left in the publication deal, but nobody's biting unless it's a memoir of Meghan because the bench didn't sell at all. We all know it didn't sell. And so it's like, what's the point of this Girls Inc. thing? How is that making you money? Like, that would be me as their like bookkeeper or whatever. How is this making you money? This is just a distraction. You need to make money because it just doesn't seem like they do things to actually make themselves money. And I get it. A lot of times too, they're trading off the royal titles and everything. But the thing is that if they're successful at something, they may be less likely to rag on the royals. And I think that's why they do all the things they do, is that they have nothing else going on, or they can't think of something else to do. And it's like they're trying to, again, still do the half in, half out dream. And it's just not happening. And so I'm like, come on. It's just crazy. Sue Webb, thank you so much for the super sticker this morning. And we also got Manga Leah 44, the Fox 44A. Brittany, can you explain Meghan Markle's latest outings with the striped shirt she was wearing? I love your channel. Okay, unless I missed something, I'm going to guess this was the Girls Inc. thing, unless I missed something. which is entirely possible because I feel like sometimes things like change so quickly and she's doing another little stunt. And I'm like, why are you doing this? So I think you're talking about, of course, the Girls Inc. thing. And she's there to commemorate because she is as part of this Girls Inc. thing because only girls need to have voices. Like, I mean, I say this in my video and I'll just, I guess, preview it here. Hopefully people still watch. But like you get the sense after a while that she doesn't say anything about her son ever, pretty much, it seems like. I mean, I guess he liked a camera once and stuff, and he liked a waffle maker, but like they so focus. I mean, I wouldn't again, this is just my supposition and theory. I would not be surprised in the slightest if 150% Lily was the golden child in the household and Archie is second tier. Because Meghan only cares about women-led businesses, women-led initiatives, and women-led charities. Like that's women, like all of her focus is on women. And I get it to a certain extent. But at the same time, too, she does have a son. She doesn't seem to care about him very much. And so, yeah, she's signed up and supported this Girls Inc. and hashtag half the story is what it's called. And so it's just, helping girls navigate the online. And it's where she said, oh, I'm one of the most bullied people online. Meghan Markle criticism is not bullying. I actually looked up criticism to show it to somebody because they're like, oh, you're bullying. I'm like, no, I'm not. It's called criticism, which is by definition the expression of disapproval of someone or something based on perceived faults or mistakes. That is exactly what I do. Like bullying is about like extortion and like other things. I'm like, that's not what I'm doing. That's not what I'm doing. That's what Meghan Markle does. I am criticizing due to perceived faults and mistakes. So obvious. So obvious. Anyways, so yeah, Meghan just seems to want to have always a pity party for herself. I don't know if you guys can hear Miss Pippa, but she is sassing the neighbors. Kimberly says, good morning, everyone. And Brittany, good morning. Maria says, good morning, Brittany and Miss Pippa. We got CCC. Haja from Sweden. I just saw Harry's new talk with Jonathan Haid. I haven't listened to part of it, but I saw at least one quote or whatever. Again, my huge criticism of Harry talking about this stupid internet stuff, and I say stupid because their perspective is stupid, is that they are basically saying it's the internet's fault, like even on the Parents Network. And I just say this because I'm not a parent, but I know for sure that parents are their children's greatest assets and their greatest protectors and all this stuff. And it's incredibly important to empower parents and not just tell them, for example, that it's just like there's nothing you can do. It's the internet's fault. Because like the Parents Network says, we say no more. And they're like first thing on here. And again, I just want to share it because if you're a parent out there, don't listen to Harry and Meghan here. It says no more blaming families. Okay. And not saying blame, but I imagine your decisions as parents had a bit of an influence here. And I don't think you can help anyone by saying, oh, no, you can't blame us. We had nothing to do with this. It wasn't our fault at all. I'm like, I mean, in some cases that might entirely be the case, but sometimes too, your decisions that you've made as parents, what you've allowed your child to have access to, do impact what happens later on down the line. So think about that. And this organization offers nothing to actually help people. No more allowing social media companies to prioritize profits over our children's safety. Number one, again, there's nothing that says your child has to be on social media, people. There's nothing that says that. If you're allowing your kid on social media at 8, you might have trouble down the line. Just saying. Just saying. I just feel like Harry and Meghan are like the whole perspective of the organization, I feel like is wholly, I think, a disservice to families, to be quite honest. Not saying any of that is easy, but 100% you have, you can do things. Don't just let go, oh, it's Facebook's fault. It's a corporation. And the thing too is these social media companies are technically geared towards adults. And that who should engage with them. Again, if you're allowing your kid to do it at 8, that's kind of on you. It's kind of on you. So they shouldn't have to change the whole company just to serve what is technically a minority part of their population. Because I mean, they don't really, they shouldn't really even have kids. So why are they changing an entire company just to make Harry and Meghan and the 5 or 6 families that have joined Parents Network happy? They're just not going to do that. And not to mention the fact it's just diluted on its face of it. Like, why would they change the entire company to, again, like, protect this certain segment? Not that you shouldn't protect it, but like, why are they changing the entire thing to suit children engaging with it rather than the vast majority of the population, which is adults? Crazy. Kimberly says, you'd think Meg would get the hint and listen to her critics and learn something. You would think. But again, if she's a tried and true narcissist, tried and true narcissist, which, it's been basically confirmed at this point that she probably is like, she can't admit fault. She can't admit that something's her fault, that she did something wrong. Like, she can't admit it. To admit it would it would just like wreck her worldview. Joan G says, Palace Confidential said Edward and Sophie's children would likely become working royals when William is king. Oh, no. No, they're too far down the line of succession. That makes no sense. It makes no sense. Why would you make Louise and James working royals when pretty soon, because there's not that much difference in age in many ways between George, Charlotte, Louis, and obviously Sophie and Edward's kids. I mean, like a good 10 plus years when it comes to Lady Louise. I don't know about James. I don't think he's 18 yet. So there's not like a huge, massive difference. So why not just let, obviously Charlotte and Louis be working royals and George? That makes like infinitely more sense than having James and Sophie be. So no, that I would guess that's not the case. Rich says hello from Chicago. Hello. Dfan says, what are your thoughts on Boris Johnson releasing info on the Queen's health 2 years after? Does it violate anything between the monarch and the prime minister? That's an interesting question. And I will just say, number one, is like, we've heard time and time again that she's had bone cancer. So I'm pretty sure that was actually probably the case. I mean, I've heard that so many times anymore that it's hard to ignore the fact that that's the case. Now, while maybe it's not prudent, I don't know if there's anything technically like against it. It is something maybe he shouldn't have done, but at the same time too, she has passed on. At some point, we might know more of the details surrounding her health and stuff like that anyways, because some things might get released, years or decades down the line. So I don't really see a super problem with it. Now, was it prudent? Was it a good thing to do? That's a question mark. That's a question mark. But at the same time, she's passed on now. I don't see what it hurts, to be quite honest. So that is my thought. Well, and so thank you. We got Joan here. It seems to me that Meghan's done the math and Harry's worth more to her after the divorce. I don't see how Harry earns money now. Can imagine Meghan wants to work to support Harry. Yeah, I mean, she doesn't even want to work to support herself. She just wants people to give her money for simply existing. Like, again, American Riviera Orchard seems to be like the sole selling point seems to be, I'm Meghan Markle. I'm the Duchess of Sussex. Buy my stuff. Yeah. And so I can't imagine her, number one, working all that hard. I mean, the two of them are pretty inept themselves. But yeah, Harry's going down a career path that literally makes him no money. And he needs to have like billions of dollars in the bank to actually make it work. He doesn't have either of those things. So what is this Neanderthal going to do? Like, seriously, like, just again, like, you have to have, like, they're banking on American Riviera Orchard bringing in, like, I think hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, it might be successful, but will it be a massive success? I don't know. I don't know, because she can't get the product out. And if the product's not good, if people have an issue with it, like, if her first product, again, guys, is not flawless or not, like, I mean, why would you buy her, like, let's say she's going to sell that bowl that she gave her friends with the lemons in it. She has this bowl. So it's like, it's a nondescript, completely and utterly like bland bowl. Like, are a bunch of people going to jump out and buy it? Again, I feel like this is a brand so far that only connects to her built-in audience, which is a fragment of the population, like a small fragment of people. And yes, sometimes the Sussex stuff gets like major traction on Twitter, but I do think, again, I would not be surprised if a lot of it is bots. And in real life, not a lot of people like Meghan Markle or simply don't care. Those are kind of the two things I see. So Ritz says, so the Duchess of Deception won't lift a finger but wants money any way she can get it. Yep, that's 100% what Meghan Markle is all about. Kimberly, happy birthday to the young lady. Azima says, hi, I made it. Julie says, good morning. We got Brenda as well. Good morning from St. Paul, Minnesota. Are they done yet? Not quite. Azima says, what is Harry whining about? The internet. The bane of existence that is the internet. He wants to fix it because, he has all the answers. Again, I would always be remiss, and I just say this as a blanket warning, of anybody who tells you they have a grand fix to a grand problem. Most likely they're deluded in that. Like people who say, I'm gonna achieve world peace. No. Or I'm going to fix the internet and make it a lovely place for everyone. Internet is full of people. You know what makes the internet bad? It's the people. You can't fix people. Sorry. Elizabeth Whines says, good morning and happy Thanksgiving from sunny but crisp Manitoba, Canada. Oh, I did not realize it was Canadian Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, you all. Meghan certainly has landed in hot water again, crashing a party. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say she crashed the party, but I do think she was a last minute invitation to that event at the Children's Hospital. Meredith's mom says, good morning from Phoenix. We have Azima. Hi. And then had Harry and Meghan blackout this week. Yeah. Good. I've been thinking after the new year at some point, I'm going to do some sort of vacation with and not like media blackout. Hopefully nothing major happens. I'm going to have to choose a time where I'm like, okay, most everybody is out. I don't hear from anyone. Like there should be nothing happening. But because I just do, after a while, it's like there's a lot going on. All right, Stephen, Magnus, thank you again so much for the support. World Central Kitchen, 300,000 Archwell grant to Georgetown University, 200,000 Archwell grant maximum grants. Yes, great point. Yeah, I figured 100K is probably a good average, but yeah, 300 and 200 is like about what they can do. And that's a lot of money. Not saying that's not a lot of money. It is. But when you think about, let's say, Harry and Meghan and what they, I guess, could be doing, like they're not philanthropists on a major level. They're just not. They're average Joe philanthropists. And they're not going to make a huge impact because they can't. They can't make a huge impact. And again, I feel like they're so deluded because they think, they're on the same level as gosh, Melinda Gates or something. It's just so not true. So thank you so much, Stephen. We have Ritz, the Prince of Pettiness, needs to get a job too and give it a rest with the rest of the morning. Yes. Yeah. I mean, one of them needs to get an actual real big boy and girl job. They seem to be failing at those. Mm-hmm. And again, we haven't heard anything about Lemonada. Now, I understand somebody said Lemonada was filing for bankruptcy. I don't believe that's the case because it's a different company also called Lemonada that was about to file for bankruptcy. But they're looking to sell, and Meghan has not produced a shred of content. Now, I don't think they're paying her anything until she produces content and they can sell it. But again, why aren't you producing? I don't understand. I have such a hard time just fathoming why you can't do anything. I don't understand. But again, I think Meghan, to a certain extent, and two, this would cripple me too. I think Meghan is also a perfectionist. Not to say that she's necessarily good at it, but in her mind, something has to be absolutely perfect before she'll go with it. The problem is that number one, life's not perfect. That's just fact. But the other thing is, when it comes to things like, guys, if I spent all the time trying to make these videos as perfect as possible, I know mistakes get through. But if I spent and reviewed these videos 12 times, it would take me 48, 36 hours to get them out. And that's just not feasible. Like the news cycle moves quickly. I have to get my stuff out as quickly as possible. Or I mean, at least that's the pressure I put off myself. And so because of that, it's like, I have to move. And so it's like, I can't just sit there on my laurels and go, oh, let's just wait and see. No. I move. And Meghan just does not want to seem to move. She wants to take things as slowly as possible. And then I think gets miffed when things don't go her way. It's just very ridiculous. Beckatopia says, good morning. We got Kate. A good morning from Alabama. Woke up just in time. Gunita says, I'm dealing with my mom's advanced cancer, terrible disease, no cure for her. Please donate to ovarian cancer. I'm glad Catherine is doing better. Question, did Meghan wear that dress because she knew it was her worst? She might have. She might have done it just for the hate clicks. And it's interesting, I'm watching this guy who talks about particularly family vlogging and how they put stuff up for the hate clicks. And yes, you get attention. And Meghan, of course, is always desperate for attention. She screams and wants attention so badly. And you almost feel like the media is trolling her to a certain extent by calling this such a glamorous dress. Because it's like anybody with two eyes going, are those inverted nipples on that dress? Is she almost flashing a child when she bends over because the slit is so high in the front? Like anybody with, I feel like a shred of common sense, look at that and goes, that's not glamorous. So you like it's almost lady doth protest too much. She like forces them to write these glowing things, but it's like people don't really buy it. But she's forcing all, but it could be too that she's trying to get the reaction from the comments by having people state she's glamorous when she's really not, like the hate clicks. But that makes you into a villain, and people don't like you because of that. It's like you don't do like the simple things you could do, like just show up and look like your friend who looked glamorous and beautiful while you looked, and I hate to say it, but somebody said it in the comments, and I think it's true, kind of like a drowned sewer rat. That's kind of what you look like. Because the hair was just awful. It wasn't the messy that looks good. Like you can have like a stylish messy. It just looked messy. It just looked like she rolled out of bed in it. And then you got that combined with a horrid dress. Again, that dress is like a Project Runway reject. It should be burned for all mankind. That dress should just be burned. And because she wanted the reaction. And again, it's like you're not helping yourself. Stop with the games. But she can't. She literally cannot stop with the games, even if it's damaged her children. So think about this. Let's just say all the circusy rumors are bub kiss, which is my personal opinion. Let's say they're all bub kiss, but they flourish online. And why do they flourish? Because their mother decided it was more important for her to play games with the press than just to say something simple like, I'm in labor, or I've actually already given birth. And so you guys missed the labor because it happened in the middle of the night, but I have already given birth. Like, no, but she had to lie. She has to play games. She didn't want to do the hospital, walk out of the hospital right after giving birth. And yes, I understand why you might not want to do that, but she just fueled the rumors of people who thought that she used the surrogate. She just fuels all that. And then like when it blows back on her children, or the Sussex squad goes, oh, they say such terrible things about her kids. I'm like, but your person started it. All she had to do was tell the truth. All she had to do was tell the truth. I don't know why that's so hard for her, but she wants to play games. She wants the attention, and it backfires on her in massive, massive ways. So Ganita, thank you so much. And I hope your mom is doing better. I know that's cancer is definitely not easy for sure. Water 8604 says, good morning from Maryland. I hope all of the Florida, North Carolina, and South Carolina RNN family are okay. Yes. Lady Aviator says, good morning from Huntsville, Alabama. Always enjoy your lives, Brittany. Great job you are doing. Why, thank you. Sue Webb says, greetings, y'all, from North Yorkshire with the Yorkie. Forrest fast asleep on the bed. So it says, woof, woof to Miss Pippa and Brittany. You've done great videos this week. Many thanks. Yes, thank you. I'm sorry, one, that the look of it ended up being so bad because I had to do it in a hotel and it didn't work. Tanya Black says, good morning, RNM peeps. We got water says, so happy to see the real princess back. Catherine looks wonderful. And I'm liking the look William is going for. I think he looks handsome. Aw. Lady Ever says, Gunita, so sorry to hear that. My word, lots of love to you and your family. Yes. Asma says, a Sussex fatigue. I decided no more. Well, you can't do that. And I mean, I've been, again, sometimes I get behind on the fashion channel because I focus sometimes on the main channel more than I should. But I'm really trying to do a lot of the fashion IDs for that Royal Fashion Police used to do, because they decided not to do that anymore unless you paid for it. So, anyways, guys, so if you go Royal Fashion News, I got fashion IDs if you guys want. I always like, even for me, it was like a little bit of my distraction this week. And so we got Queen Mary and Princess Madeline. We do have Meghan, but we also have Queen Letizia, Queen Mary again. Lots of Queen Mary this week. Princess Madeline. Yes. So anyways, if you want a break, that actually gave me a little bit of a break, although I should have done the video too, but I'll do the video here. But hold on just 1 minute because I got little paws. Say hello to everyone, Miss Pippa. There is Miss Pippa, everyone. Miss Pippa, look, they're all over there. Do you see them? Do you see them? She's a silly girl. Such a silly girl. So, Miss Pippa says, good morning, everyone. I have to be careful because she can't get in the hot chocolate. So, and not that she's ever really tried, but you never know. We got Alice O'Donnell says, hi, everyone. Kaza says, good morning and happy Thanksgiving weekend to our Canadian friends. Brittany, what do you know about Charles and Camilla's upcoming trip to Australia and Samoa? So I think we do have a somewhat tentative schedule, I think maybe for the first day or two that I saw on Twitter recently. And it should be a really good trip. Obviously, Charles is still undergoing cancer treatments, which I did not know. Like, we knew he was doing better, which is how he did engagements, but we didn't know he was still getting some sort of treatment. And so he is going to pause that as he's on this trip, but it should be a good trip. And granted, I will say if Catherine and William were going, it'd get more attention. It just is what it is. You gotta stop it. You gotta stop it. But yeah, it's gonna be a good trip. And we also have a couple other trips coming up too. And we have a state visit in December. The Emir of Qatar is coming. And I do have to say, I'm kind of excited about that one because I was already planning to be in London early December because we do have our Christmas market trip, which closes in 4 days, y'all, 4 days. And I was already going to be in London early because I wasn't sure when Catherine's Christmas concert would be. And I would love to try to cover that whatever way I could. And then I wanted to be there early as well for the Swedish Nobel Prize ceremony. Hopefully get some press credentials for that. Like that's just the dream, guys. It's just such the dream. So we'll see if that happens. And anyways, so I was already planning on being in Europe a bit early. There was a couple things I wanted to do too. And I was like, but then they announced the Emir Qatar visit would be on December 3rd and 4th. And so I'm like, okay, I was going to depart on the 4th and arrive on the 5th, but I might depart now on the 1st and arrive on the 2nd so I can cover at least some of the state visit on the 3rd and 4th. Now, granted, I probably couldn't get like big, like huge press credentials or something, but I could definitely be on the Royal Mile, try to catch them going into the palace, in and out of the palace and stuff like that. So that would be sort of my desire for December. And then there's a couple other things I want to do. I've been trying to get to Copenhagen and Denmark all year. And so I'm really going to try to do that in December, which is not going to be the best time, but and then Queen Maxima's wedding dress is on display. So I'm going to try to go up and see that. So lots of stuff. So J2814, good morning from the Lone Star State. Asma says, isn't it dangerous to pause chemo for King Charles? No, I mean, I know somebody who's gone through and continues to get chemotherapy treatments. It depends on the chemo. It also depends on, because sometimes too, like people get like infusions. And so it's, I think, a type of chemo, but it doesn't really have a lot of, let's see, really debilitating drawbacks like some chemos do. So it depends on the sort of the level of the chemo, what exactly the drug is. And I know these sometimes, you can say, I have a big family occasion coming up. I really need to pause my treatments because I need to be functional for this family event. And they will pause it for you. Now, again, if you are like, as long as you're probably stable, they'll be pretty accommodating. If you are, let's say, in a situation where things are really dangerous, they might go, I mean, we might delay it for a week, but we really can't do it any longer. I don't think in the case of Charles, it's something where he's able to obviously function with the treatment he's getting fairly well. So this is not like some treatments that can completely knock you out. So again, a lot of it depends on what he's getting. But I did think it was very interesting he's still getting treatments. I thought when he got quote unquote better and he did that first visit of a cancer ward, I thought he was like stopped chemo, but apparently he continues to get it, which I found, again, very interesting. Ganita, thanks. I wonder if ovarian cancer is what Catherine has. It affects a lot of what young women typically, they need more research. Well, hopefully, maybe, again, there's been a lot of support for Catherine, and we don't know exactly what she has, obviously, as well. Colon cancer has been seen a huge upsurge with young people. So yeah, we don't know quite yet, but I'm hoping she does share at some point. But I understand right now that she's wanting to, just keep some things private. And that's fine. Melanie says, "Good morning, everyone. Love Saturdays with Brittany and RNN crew." Yay. Jenny says, "Good morning from Oregon." We have Dimitra. "Good morning from Toronto." Water says, "Depending on where he is for treatment, it should be all right. He does have the best doctors on the planet." Yes. Elizabeth says, "Heartfelt prayers go out to everyone who has lost so much with Hurricane Milton." Yes, and Hurricane Helene as well. Sarah says, "I send prayers and good wishes to your mom, Gunita." Elizabeth says, "Prayers to you and your mother, Gunita." Yes. So we have hi from Manila. This is Erica. Glad you put that because I don't know. It's funny. I went to South Korea once, and in Europe, sometimes I can kind of sort of figure out maybe what something is saying, you know. But I went to South Korea and I would look at a sign going, I don't even know where to start. So I would not even know where to start. So thank you so much, Erica. We got Melissa says, "Good morning from Arizona." Rose, hi, Brittany. Asma says, "Is anyone in Australia or Samoa planning to see him?" Yes. So if you keep an eye on, especially the royal reporters, and I try to repost as much as I can from the royal reporters, because not only do a lot of them follow me now, which has been super exciting. A lot of them do follow me, which is awesome. I try to repost as much as I can. I don't always. I tend to, because sometimes people are in other countries or able to post things faster or whatever. I do repost a lot of things, and I usually leave my commentary to like something I feel particular about, or something like I wanted to find the picture myself or something. But I do repost a lot of things as well. So anytime I see that, so if there are particular events where you can see them, I'll try to repost those. And hopefully, yeah, people who are in Australia who may want to see Charles and Camilla. My personal advice, if you are one who is wanting to try to see a royal at an event where they have basically shared that people can come, here's my piece of advice: get there early, find a spot, kind of guesstimate maybe where they'll be, and you will stand there and you will stand there for several hours. I know that's not like great, and that's how you have to do it. That is just exactly how you have to do it. That is like how I got the dog and duck situation. And so I got there. I was the third person to get there. Third person. It was early. It was really early. They didn't, I think I got there before 8, I want to say. I think I got there before 8, and they didn't arrive until after 12. So it was a long day. You start chatting with people. It is kind of fun. And I kind of wish I had my R3 Canon camera instead of just the R6, because the R6 had issues. It would overheat on me. And I also just like, I feel like I would have gotten the pictures much sharper because it's more of a manual focus camera. Because you do at these events, this is what's so hard. You have to manually focus because people are moving. So if you do automatic, they'll do the front person. So there's a picture from Boston where I have a great shot of a security guard and Catherine's a blurry thing behind it. So I've learned over the years, obviously your cell phone will do just fine for the vast majority of people. I like to have good cameras because I like to get really, really good pictures I can use in thumbnails and stuff. I also like, what do I also like? I also like something else, and now I've forgotten what it was. I also have, like big zoom lenses and stuff like that. I have a lens I've been really wanting for a long time that I'm going to consider my tiara lens, because it's like it's apparently very heavy, but it's kind of like a big focal point lens. Obviously, probably people are dipping out because I'm starting to talk about camera stuff. But I like talking about camera stuff because I think about it a lot, guys. When I go to these events, guys, I have a full on rolling luggage camera bag to put all the camera stuff in. I have bought an additional camera bag that I can walk and do events with. I treat it very seriously. I feel like I am a total novice. I don't know half of what I need to know to be doing what I'm doing, but I attempt, and I've gotten some pretty good pictures, to be quite honest. Especially with the Swedish Golden Jubilee, that ended up being really, really good, really, really good. So I was super stoked about that. But anyways, that would be my thing: is like get there early, be prepared to wait, don't drink and don't eat. I mean, obviously, if you have to take little sips of water, little bits to eat, because what you don't want to do, especially if you're there by yourself, is really have to go to the bathroom. Or even if there's a big crowd, if you have to go to the bathroom, like it's kind of a battle to get back in. And what happens too is as the crowd gets bigger, the crush becomes not in a bad way, but people kind of are there's a bit of a crush there. And so because of that, it's harder to get back to your spot. So again, I would say Get there, don't drink a lot, don't move. And you don't know who you're gonna get. They might not even come to you. That's kind of sometimes what happens too. But anyways, I had a lot of busts in Boston, but again, the dog and duck thing, I had prepared. I'd done it enough times where I was like, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. And you also have the option too, if you know you can't get there right away, get a step ladder. Just saying. I have a bit of a step stool. I have a bigger one now too. I'm going to take with me the next trip. All the photographers, you'll notice they have them. So, anyways, Alice said, "Thank you so much for the tip." Hi, Brittany. Do you think Catherine will be at the state visit in December? It might be too much for her. See her. That is probably my question. If she's increasing her workload, I've heard reports, and this was just posted on Royal Fashion Police. I haven't really seen it reported verifiably anywhere else that she's going to South Africa with William. I am not going to go there until I have it again, guys. I always like, and I know not everybody likes all the British press people, but it's like I wait until a British press person says it, because they do have the inside track. And so I have heard that might be a possibility. I don't know. I can foresee the potential for her to do the state visit, but like an amended schedule. And she already really doesn't do too much when it comes to the state visits. Usually she attends the arrival ceremony and the lunch that happens afterwards, and then usually the state dinner that later that night. So that could be what she does. It's a couple months away, so she might be getting stronger and stronger. I think you could tell if you looked at a lot of the pictures from her and William's recent event. I feel like this last year has taken its a toll a bit. So I think it's going to take her just a little bit of time to, I think, fully get back on her feet. I noticed that a bit, especially in her face and stuff. It looked like, it had taken her its toll. And I think it was, because everything seemed so perfect. It was kind of nice to see, oh, I can see the struggle this year in different ways than I had before. And I thought that was really, really a good thing to see, because I know some people are like, oh, Catherine, oh, she looks so perfect. I was like, no, no, no. You can definitely tell this year has not been easy on her. And so, yeah, she's going to take her time, but I think it would be great if she did do it. But I don't know. But either way, it's like to be there when they have a state visit would be pretty cool. And again, there's certain things that are kind of like public in terms of like the carriage rides back to the palace and stuff like that. Now, obviously, will it be cold? Yes, it'll be cold. And they usually do it earlier in November, so that they're doing it so late is kind of odd. But I'm looking forward to it. I even as like, oh, I guess I'll have to get a different hotel, because it's like hotels are like in London, they're pretty expensive. Actually, flights aren't bad, but hotels are rather expensive. So I'm gonna stay a little bit further away than I usually do, but it'll save me a bit of money. And it's on the tube line, so it's easy. My other suggestion for general travel, for those who might be interested, is if you're going to stay in London, especially, I don't know the tube system as much in some other cities, to be quite honest. But when it comes to London, especially wherever you stay near a tube station and use a tube. Like, you have to be just conscientious of the fact that there's probably pickpocketers there and stuff like that. So just keep your stuff closed, keep aware of it, you know, like be fully aware that, especially if things are tight and there's a lot of people on it, you just have to be really aware of your stuff. But like, stay near a tube station, because you can just jump on the tube and go anywhere. And it's really convenient. And yes, if you're further out of town, it's going to take a bit longer, but not too much. I'd like the place I'm going to stay is probably on the same line as the one I usually stay on. It's just a couple of stops behind. So that's not bad. So, anyways, for those who want my travel advice, Kristen M says, "Happy Saturday. With all the news regarding public health, royal health issues, private information is general. Where is the line of public, private in the royal sphere? Harry and Meghan have blurred this for many. Thank you." That's a great question, Kristen. Thank you so much. That's a really great question. We do also have the announcement, which I keep meaning to post on Twitter and I haven't gotten to, that Mart is going through treatments for her chronic pulmonary fibrosis again. And it's debilitating, so she's amending her schedule. Now, I will say the timing of that is rather convenient given her son's arrests and everything. So there's a part of me that's like, okay, that could be true. There's also a part of me that thinks, timing is, I mean, I could understand too that because of what her son is going through and all the chaos with that could be obviously a very, like a real drain on her health. But at the same time too, I'm thinking, that's so convenient that your son has been arrested and is under investigation. All of a sudden, you're too sick to do much and you don't want to answer questions from the press. Very convenient. But I will say kind of the general thing is we can, let's say, make inferences based on what royals say. Because one of the things I said, and I got criticism on at first when Catherine had announced initially her surgery, was that it was a major surgery. And I made that conclusion based on the fact that it was going to take her 6+ weeks to recover. That's major surgery. I've been through surgery several times. And, I have, well, not several times, twice, fairly major surgeries to fix bone breaks. And like 6 weeks, yeah, it holds you up for quite a while. Like, and if you're having, and it's the 2-week hospital stay also did it for me. Because when I broke my wrist and I had surgery, although I was on vacation, so um, there was not that much they could do, but they did kind of have to kick me out. But I had the surgery the previous night, and I spent the night in the hospital and left the next day. When I broke my foot, I went in on Monday, and I think I left on Wednesday. And so that is like that were my experiences. And like I had pretty significant injuries, like, and I had, metal and everything. So I knew that the fact that she had to spend 2 weeks at the hospital told me a lot of things, that they were worried about the recovery, that it was probably pretty invasive. So that means pretty major. They were worried about complications. And so she had to stay. And people were like, oh no, you're reading too much into it. Yeah. I'm like, but I'm just making a logical conclusion based on what they've told us. And then she said when she announced her cancer that I had major surgery. So I was like, yeah, that makes sense. But will I be interested in investigating and finding out, oh, what cancer does she have? No, because I understand. Like sometimes there's just some things you want to keep to yourself for a bit. Maybe she'll share later, but right now she feels better not sharing. And you know what? Sometimes that's fine. I, don't believe in sourcing through people's medical records. I know other people, are trying to determine, if Meghan's age is real or she had surrogates and all these sorts of things. And I'm honestly not too interested in that, because at the end of the day, I don't think it'll care. I mean, I know that some people really do think it'll be a huge change. I don't think it will be. And so I'm not interested in violating somebody's privacy like that, just because in some ways too, I think sometimes people want to humiliate others. And so that's why they're looking. I'm not interested in that. Like, give me the news. Now, if I think you're kind of hiding something, that's a little sus, but people also have the right to hide things. Now, what I will say is an issue that I have generally with celebrities as well is when people have plastic surgery and then claim they don't, and you can see an like obvious change, and it looks like they've had plastic surgery, and they keep telling you they haven't had plastic surgery, and then 5 to 10 years later they admitted, oh yeah, we had plastic surgery. It's called a lie. I have an issue with those kind of things. But royals generally aren't asked those type of questions, so generally they don't really, I would say, respond to those type of questions. So that's not as much of an issue for them. I really think of like Kylie Jenner, because she lied about having lip injections, and then she also lied about having breast augmentation. And so she lied about both of those things until at some point she was like, oh yeah, I got this and wish I hadn't done that and stuff. I was like, well, why did you just say that? Like we all were well, not we in terms of me, I didn't really care that much, but I like people were talking about it, people had called you out for it, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh no, like I don't like that kind of thing. That to me would be an issue with royals too. If like a royal dropped a bunch of weight and go, oh, it's just diet and exercise, and they're taking Ozempic, that's called a lie. Just admit that you took a Ozempic, like, or admit you had plastic surgery. I don't really care. But I just don't like the lying and trying to conceal things, especially just for like vanity reasons and stuff. I understand if sometimes, like, let's say you had a mole removed or something ridiculous like that. Again, like minor things that's like you don't want to say because it might be a bit embarrassing. We all get that. But it's like when you're other things. Yeah. So that was a very long explanation for that. But yeah, I think royals, because they are essentially in some ways on the government dime, you do need to tell people what's going on with you in your medical. Somewhat, especially if it's going to impact your duties, which is what Catherine did. And again, the hashtag where is Kate thing just was sheer stupidity from the internet. It was just sheer stupidity because she had not reached the point yet where she like was even going to be back. Like they said around Easter, that was like March 31st. And people were freaking out at the beginning of March. And I'm like, but she told us she wouldn't be back until March 31st at least. So like, why are you guys whining about this? And it got to such a point that she did have to make the announcement of what was really going on. And she did have to make it because she needed to explain what was going on. And then now she's made the announcement that she's finished chemotherapy treatments. And so because of that, she's able to do things and trying to get her strength back and trying to get, kind of trying to find a normal again. I mean, her normal is going to be different, but trying to like get back into a schedule, that takes time. That takes time. Okay. So we have Neely. Good morning, Miss Pippa and everyone. I was just going to see if she's at my feet. Rich says, so happy to see the Princess of Wales back at work and doing well. Yes. Petals of Ionia. Good morning and happy Thanksgiving from Ottawa, Canada. Not Quite Royal says, good morning, Brittany in chat. Christina says, good morning to you and Poppy from Chile, Metro, Detroit. Helen says, buenos tardes from España. How's everyone? Godzilla says, I hope not Gunita. Very serious disease, but they caught it stage 0. She will do well. I have friends who did well. Shaz says, good morning. Good afternoon, everyone from windy, wet Motherwell, Scotland. Roxanne says, good morning from NYC. We got Denise. Good morning from Mississippi. Brittany. We got Marcel. Good morning, everyone. Hi, Brittany. So glad to make it to a live stream. Been out of town. Oh, I'm so glad. Melissa Ann says, Harry and Meghan, they use ChatGPT to learn how to talk about being a parent. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Because, yeah, they don't sound like engaged parents. When you're just basically complaining, oh, it's the internet's fault. It's like, well, if a child is on the tablet in their room and something happens, like, it's the social media company's fault. And I'm like, why does your child have a tablet in their room? Like, if there's 8, they shouldn't have a tablet alone in their room. Just saying. Lindsay Curry says, afternoon, I agree. Why isn't more being highlighted by mainstream meaning about his shock statement? One of many. I don't know. Like, they almost ignore him because he is dim and nobody cares. REE68 says hello from Australia. Water says happy early Thanksgiving to all Canadians from the RNN family. DS, for giggles, Meghan wore the hideous red dress again because A, she's low on money. B, Catherine revamps outfits. Meghan thinks she can do better. C, anything to show off the show them shoulders off. D, all of the above. Yeah, I don't think though it's because people, like, if you actually watch the Harry and Meghan documentary, and I kind of wish I'd put this in a video, is that you can actually see that the skirt, so the big poofy skirt, is an addition. So the original dress underneath is still there. So they just took the skirt off. Like, there was no revamping this outfit. It was basically the initial stage, and they just took off the extra layer. And I don't think it was really a revamp. And Catherine really hasn't revamped dresses all that much. She's done it a time or two. I feel like Mary is the one who really experiments with that kind of thing. Catherine, like, I can think of the flower dress from Alexander McQueen. Maybe one or two other things. Catherine's really not that creative when it comes to some of her fashion stuff. So I don't think it was really a Catherine thing. Sion says, love and greetings, Brittany from North Wales, UK. Always brilliant to see you. Why, thank you. Susan says, good morning from Michigan. Fall has arrived. Ellen R. says, good morning from Florida. Genevieve says, good morning from Ottawa, Canada. Mima says, good morning from Chile, but sunny northern Massachusetts. Nyang Nordinia says, I don't understand why Harry even has a platform at all to give advice on anything at all. Last, being a parent. He accepts no responsibility at all for being a parent. Yes, I agree with that. Creative Chaosify says, Lily has blue eyes, is Meghan's favorite. She never mentions Archie, who sadly inherited his mother's brown eyes. Yeah, I haven't really seen too much of them, to be sure, really. But yeah, she never mentions him. I don't think she cares if he finds his voice. It just matters if Lily finds hers. Joan G says, I know a Girls Inc. board member. They have lots of celebrity involvement, including Gayle King and the Williams sisters. I attended an event where they were all participants. Yeah. I mean, it's like nothing really totally against the organization. They need support and Meghan is willing to give them money. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. But again, I feel like Meghan uses these kind of things as a distraction to actually having a real job. Laners, it says, good morning from Northern California. We got Gretchen the first. Good morning from Massachusetts. Got coffee and ready to go. My Peppa, come here, big girl. All right. Gunita says, my mom got ovarian cancer when she was older, after 60. They caught it at stage 1 7 years ago, but came back and metastasized. But the doctors say typically occurs ages 35 to 45 years old. Sorry, I just realized I hadn't clicked on that. So yeah, Very sad. Asma says, even worse than the maternity dress cost $1 million. Oh, that was dressed as hideous too. That dress was ridiculous. Yeah. Heather says, good morning, Brittany and Miss Pippa and everyone. I've been busy and haven't been able to keep up with everything going on with Harry and Meghan and the royal family. Trust me, it's starting to get a little hard. Harry and Meghan are doing a lot of stuff recently. Ritz says, Carolina Herrera must be fuming over her ugly gown being dragged like this. Oof. Well, I don't think she's the head designer for it anymore, so it's more of her name, but it's hideous. It's just hideous, to be quite honest. Yeah, I know. Okay. I know you think I'm here, so that means cuddles. All right. Ganita says, thanks for the support, everyone. I love RNN. Keeps my mind on other things. Mima says, rough red dress. Yes. Betty says, good morning from Oklahoma. Sandra says, hello from the Netherlands. My good boy Hannibal Yorkie Mix asked me to tell Pippa Barkis is willing. I think he reads too much Dickens. Oh, you got a friend, Miss Pippa. You got a friend. Oh, her tail started wagging when I told her she had a friend. Okay. I love the kisses, but you got to stop. I can't focus. Deborah says, Dan Wooten mentioned you Monday on his red dress video. Oh, I thank you. Yes, and the plan is to be on Dan Wooten again on Monday. And he also has offered to come on Royal News Network. So I will be working on a time and a date with him and seeing what works with his schedule. So that should be awful fun, guys. JB says, your makeup looks great, Brittany. Good morning. Why, thank you. I tried something new. Not too new. But I got some stuff from my recent YouTube event because it was kind of a YouTube shopping. I do it more for the fashion channel. And so I got a lot of stuff. Actually, one of the things I'm most excited about, in addition to the makeup, is this Logitech keyboard. It's called Keys to Go, and I can pair it with a phone. And so I can I wish I had a stand for my phone, but I can especially when I'm doing stuff on Instagram and stuff, which works better on the phone, I can use this guy to type. It's so nice. Okay, let's get you down, Miss Pippa. So Alice says, Meghan seems to think dressing sexy is dressing powerfully, and it's really not. No. Water says, I truly believe that the Mimi crash, the hospital event, people were like, okay, you can mingle, get your pics, but you have to leave when we officially start. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say, but I think she probably, I think in terms of crashed, I think she got a last minute invitation or kind of asked for a last minute invitation. They're like, okay, sure. Shaz says, I thought Adele Style was supposed to be working for Meghan. It seems she's not so good in that case. No, I just don't think Meghan listens. Or, the people I think who work with Meghan find out pretty quickly that she doesn't really want to take the advice. And so they just kind of give up and just tell her, yeah, whatever. Because what else can they do? She won't take advice. Metal Mayhem says, hi, Brittany. Hello. Michelle says, hi, finally got live from London. Sandra says, Brittany, why are you so biased against Princess Meghan Markle? She's not a princess. She's Princess Harry. She's not Princess Meghan, though. William and Charles also hires yes people, too. But Brittany won't criticize or attack them. How many staff have been lost by Will and Kate? I don't really care because they don't talk bad about William and Catherine. The thing is, when it comes to royal staffers, is that people don't know generally they do get a lower salary than the private sector. So Harry and Meghan's people should technically be getting more money because they are in the private sector, whereas people who work for the royal family take actually a pay cut in order to work for them. And then when it comes to them moving on, a lot of them are highly competent people and do want to move on and then have nothing nice things to say about their former employers or come back into their employ. Jason Knaft left and came back, I believe. And I think there have been a couple of people like that. Like the woman who worked for Harry and Meghan and left because of obviously the alleged bullying, actually came back and worked for Catherine and William. And so that does happen. And as Catherine and William rise within the royal system, they require different staffing needs. So at some point too, you had Rebecca, who worked for Catherine for many years, eventually left, but I can't remember what her last name was, but I think part of it too was that Catherine was the Duchess of Cambridge at the time. So it made sense. You're not pushing things Rebecca Deacon, you're not pushing things too hard or too fast. And so Rebecca was able to kind of work for Catherine for a really long time. And then again, as the needs change, they hire really competent people. And so those competent people get other opportunities that pay more because as more of the civil servants, which royal staffers kind of are, except for if they're in the royals private employ, tend to again get lower salaries because you pay in terms for the privilege. But you also got to say and acknowledge that, well, Catherine and William have had their nanny Maria, for over 10 years now. If it was not great to work for them, she would have left. But it's really good to work for them. She really enjoys it. So she has stayed. And I think, again, you see that a lot. And Catherine and William, I think, of course, are very engaged parents. And Nanny Maria is what a nanny is supposed to be, which is supposed to be sort of augmenting what the parents are already doing rather than parenting the children. I truly believe that Catherine and William 100% are the parents to their children. They don't allow somebody else to do it. And so that's a big difference as well. And so, again, yeah, just looking at that. But yeah, she is not a princess though, Meghan Markle. She is simply has the extension of her husband's title, which is the Duke of Sussex. So she is the Duchess of Sussex, just FYI. Catherine is technically the same. She doesn't legally hold the title of princess. She merely has a courtesy title given to her because of her husband's title. But yeah, not a fan of Meghan. And I make no apologies for that. Stephen and Magnus says, one, use locking tags, deters backpack thieves, etc. Yes, I have a backpack. It's actually on the floor. And it's one of my camera backpacks. And of course, you can't always have your backpack on in front of you, but I do move it to in front of me, especially if it's in a really crowded environment. But what I do as well is I don't have a lock, but I have because sometimes I want to get into my camera quickly. But what I have too is like the zipper has a little hoop thing, and I can stick that through the clip on the bottom. And so you're probably not exactly describing it, but anyways, I can clip it together and keep it sort of secure. So it's harder. Like if you wanted to get in there, you can't just unzip it. You actually have to like unclick it and then kind of finagle it to unzip it. But yeah, it's not, yeah, you just have to be careful. Obviously, locking tags. I also have trackers in my stuff and everything. And I have not had an issue, but I'm also just like really super cautious. Even when it's like in super cold weather too, I have a little crossbody, and I'll actually stuff it up in my jacket. So it's like, it probably looks weird because I got this little poof on the side, but it's my clutch because I put it, or my crossbody because I kind of put it up in there, so it's not hanging low. So yeah, lots of things you guys can do, but yeah, be careful on the tube. It's Megan, like Reagan says. Mindy Kaling's stylist is Jessica Mulroney. Really? Really? I'm surprised. I didn't think Jessica Mulroney was still around doing things. I thought she totally got canceled. Huh. Interesting. Loans Laven says, I'm a woman of faith. I would like to think there's hope for everyone. My question is, how can Meghan and Harry turn things around? Is there a chance for forgiveness? I mean, public is going to be a little bit different. But when it comes to the families, I mean, the thing is, I feel like Harry and Meghan have to acknowledge some fault in the situation, which they've refused to take any responsibility for any of their decisions. We see this over and over and over again. They take zero responsibility for any of their decisions. And that's just not great. That's just not great. And I think there is a chance for them to turn things around. But honestly, I don't think Harry will ever fully amend things with his family as long as Meghan's still in the picture. I don't think they will ever trust her. And Meghan strikes me as one of those people. Like, and of course, there's hope for everyone. I truly do believe that. But Meghan would have to have a pretty radical personality change to really change. Like, that's just it. I don't think she wants to change. I don't think I think she feels like she's perfect. And yeah. Why do that says, good morning from sunny Manitoba, Canada, where the leaves are all orange, red, and yellow. Thank you. Mima says, how can anyone crash a party she hasn't been invited to? Oh, wait, she's not a typical person. Yep. Rich says, this is truly my favorite time of year. It's lovely early fall morning in Chicago. Very nice. Very nice. What does it say? Oh, Sanju. Oh, poor Sanju. She's Princess Meghan Markle, wife of blood-born Prince Harry, son of King Charles and late Princess Diana. Again, she's only Princess Harry. She's not Princess Meghan. Sanju, that's not how this works. She's not in Scandinavia. I'm so sorry. So she's not Princess Meghan Markle. Yeah, no. Yeah, and Well, William's also the son of King Charles and Princess Diana, and he's also a prince, and his wife is technically the Princess of Wales, and Diana actually technically was not Princess Diana. She was Diana, Princess of Wales. Just again, just those technicalities that I feel like so many people just don't understand. Stephanie says, hi, all from Queen Mary's hometown, Hobart, Tasmania, Australia. Just after 1 a.m. here, Meghan's constant clap back saying she's nice and the marriage is okay makes me laugh. The lady doth protest too much. Yeah, I think it was in the People magazine article. It's like they've said a couple of times, like she said, oh, we're so happy. It's like, if you have to say you're happy, probably not happy. And there was something else going, yeah, we're, oh gosh, we're going somewhere a different direction or something. And it's like, but we're fine. Like, Lady Doth protest too much, man. All right. Missy says, good morning, everyone. Water says, Princess Meghan, no such person. There is a Princess Harold, but she is a horrible person, and compared her to the real royals is insulting to the real royals. Yeah. Azuma says his legal name is Henry. It is. It is. Janet says, Meghan and Harry's mantra, it's never my fault. I'm the victim. I'm the most bullied ever. Few believe this. Yes. Roxy says, let the sugar right in the chat. He is funny. Yeah, I like unless they become super disruptive, I mean, just ignore them. But it's just kind of funny to respond because so many times they are just so uninformed. Caroline says, agree, Ritz. For me in Australia, we were coming out of the cold, wet winter before we got whacked with 40-degree heat Celsius and no rain until around March next year. Oh, gosh. Marcel says, it was great to see Princess Catherine out with Prince William to support the South Port community in such a terrible time. Yes. Wendy says, good morning. Julie says, good morning, everyone, from Charlotte, North Carolina. Gretchen the First says, a weekly recap. Harry whinges about cell phones. And Meghan goes all out for a look at me photo op. Princess Catherine goes quietly back to work, helping those with horrible grief. Point to Catherine. Yes. Because Meghan, like when she went to the Girls Inc. thing, Eric, I can't remember how to pronounce his last name. The photographer who went with them to Colombia went with her there. Like the whole point was there was a video. Again, I'll show you guys all this in my upcoming video on it. But there's a video, there are photographs he took, and I'm like, she literally used this and is using other people's children to promote herself. I don't understand why other parents let her do this when her children are too precious to be seen in the sunlight. As Mrs. Catherine was in Southport. She was. Diaz says, in my opinion, the only reason Meghan went to that children's hospital was to try and outdo Catherine's visit with the cancer-stricken teen girl. Mission failed. Yes. Helen says, Brittany, Kenzie School. Yeah. Siba says, ROFL, Princess Meghan. That's a pretend fairy tale. Yep. Debbie says, good morning. Miss Hannah says, woof, woof to Miss Pippa. San Diego has gone from warm days and cool nights. Ritz says, even if Parliament strips her title, she'll be brazen and defiant enough to keep using it. Oh, yeah, she will. She doesn't care. Drusilla says, good morning, everyone. Steven says, Girls Inc., July 1948 formed. Okay. I was thinking it said like 160 years, but maybe they just meant 60 on People magazine or whatever. Did you notice the ring didn't make a return? I did notice that. I posted that on Twitter. Meghan's engagement ring is gone, guys. And so is actually Catherine's. But Catherine's makes sense. She's using now a new eternity band with diamonds and sapphires. And also it looks like an additional new eternity band. And so I don't know if it's here to stay, but it is rather interesting. But I thought it was funny too. It was like Meghan, her first thing in a while, she shows up Son's engagement ring. Now she was missing her engagement ring pretty much all of 2023. It made a return in 2024. But yeah. I was like, if Meghan hadn't recently, like if the video of Meghan at the Girls Inc. thing hadn't been filmed a week ago, like I would totally believe she's trying to copy Catherine. And she could be, because Catherine has been noted for not wearing it too much. Jock GDX says, good morning, RNN family. Water says, the titles need to go. Sugars and me will yell no matter what. But if Harry is going to play fake royal, King Charles needs to make the world clear that Harry's not attached to the crown. Yeah. And again, I've said this time and time again. I like, people are like, well, they're just doing the long game. I was like, I get that. But in Norway, we've seen, you could call it the long game, completely blow up. And the monarchy and support for it is disintegrating by the second, because it's just like catastrophically bad mistakes on multiple levels. So you might think everything's hunky-dory, but things can change quickly. Shaz says they're too bloody lazy to work. They want everyone else to do the work, but take the credit for everything. Yep. Wrong Shoes says they're really the prince and princess of procrastination. Basically, they'll do anything but work 150%. They don't want to work. Stephanie says, funny how Meghan's devoted followers don't know enough about her to be aware that she's Princess Henry, Harry's actual name, or Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, not Princess Meghan. Yeah, you would think they'd actually know that, but no. Oh, oh, Sanju. Poor Sanju. Brittany, Sussexes aren't funded by the taxpayers like William and Kate Middleton are funded. That's why the Sussexes can't donate millions to charity. Kate and William are funded by millions of pounds. Yeah, from the Duchy of Cornwall. Sorry, I almost said Lancaster. Cornwall, which is technically a private estate that William owns and controls. The money that the taxpayers' funds goes to the sovereign grant, which is a minuscule amount that they can't donate to various charities. Catherine and William are donating their personal wealth to charities. Their staff are paid for somewhat by the sovereign grant, but they can also, their personal staff are funded themselves. Same thing with King Charles. He controls the Duchy of Lancaster, which he has to use to support his, not only himself, but his siblings. Yeah, that's how it works. But no, Harry and Meghan don't have taxpayer funds, but they definitely want people to fund them while they do nothing. Dutch Oven says October 10th was International Mental Health Day. Never heard anything from the Sussexes. Well, Harry did an interview where he complained about the dangers of the internet and how it's the internet's fault if bad things happen. Wendy Foran says, after the Marias thing, who was the most problematic of Queen Victoria's children? Why was one associated with the Jack the Ripper stories? Now, I'm not too familiar with her children, to be quite honest, but yeah, there was one or like a doctor connected to the palace, something that was connected to the Jack the Ripper stuff, but that's mostly just rumors and legends, not really based in facts. But yeah, there's been a lot of problematic royals over the years, especially spares. Spares tend to be problematic because, again, you have the hard job as a parent, and I don't envy any royal parents in this scenario, where you have to raise your children knowing that one of them will be incredibly important and the others not so much. And so you have to walk this careful line with your children knowing that their oldest sibling is to the crown the most important. But that all the children as individuals, as creations, as those created in the image of God, all have equal value as human beings. But of course, in different systems, like it's like if you had one sibling that was born incredibly intelligent. Think of like Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory. Like he was like, his other siblings are totally normal and he's extremely intelligent. And so he requires a lot more needs in some ways because you had to push him through the school system and different things. You had to do a lot of different things with him because he's so intelligent. And royals, it comes with this weird thing where you have you want to treat all your children equally, but the oldest has privileges, has responsibilities that the youngers don't have. Like it's complex. I don't envy any royal going through it, but I will say my personal suggestion is I think the worst combination is two boys because I think boys tend to clash a bit more or like, men have the natural propensity to want to lead. And so obviously William and Harry both want to lead. And so I think you end up with clashes. I think two girls is not quite as bad, but I think actually the best answer is to have three children because two can commiserate together and support each other while, they can also support their siblings. So you have somebody in the same boat as you. So it's not just one's incredibly important and you're not. I think that results in natural clashes. Gretchen the First, are Meghan Markle and Prince Harry able to do anything but rag on the royals, asking for a friend? I don't think so. The thing is, again, they haven't proven they can do that. They haven't proven that. And Hollywood knows that. It's like they haven't proven anything beyond ragging on the royals. Kate says, Meghan's support for girls is hollow and meaningless. Girls and women don't ever have our own sports and spaces anymore. And yet Meghan is silent about that. Sorry, but it's true. It is. Yeah. Definitely is. I agree, Brittany. I agree with Brittany. That's probably my rant on Harry and how he treats, like, the advice they give to parents that I think is so terrible. It's so terrible because it, like, disempowers parents to be like, well, there's nothing I can do. I'll just give my kid a tablet. Why would you say that? Or maybe it was about Archie being less important in the Sussex household than Lily. Job GDX says Megan has been. Okay, there we go. Sorry. My internet, I need to call my internet company so bad. I'm so annoyed because it's like I pay for the highest level of internet and I get crappy internet too often. Allison says she has a son that started kindergarten this year only a few weeks ago. Yep. Blessing. If you hate Megan so much, why do you continue to follow her every move and be nasty? Megan's life doesn't affect you in any way. Why can't you leave her alone and focus on the left behind royals? Because I like talking about royals and the impact of royalty on the future. And I think Harry and Meghan, although they are constitutionally irrelevant, they also are having a severe impact, I think, on the monarchy and its look in the future. And that's why it's important to criticize them and call them out. And I think they've been caught in multiple lies. So it is actually good to call them out on their lies. Because if Meghan had her way, you would just, she wants people like you who just mindlessly believe. That's what she wants, is just mindless automatons who salivate over every single bit of word salad she spews. I'm not that person. I feel like I'm smarter than that. And I feel like a lot of other people are too. And Jay Clark says, good morning, Brittany and Miss Pippa from Chile, New Jersey. We got Helen, Brittany, Kenzie Schofield. I know I haven't spelled her last name wrong, but she copied your saying shallow, vain, and vapid. Why, thank you. Yes. I should have coined that. Cosplay Royals, I think, is my other contribution. But yeah, shallow, vain, and vapid. That's what Meghan Markle is. I have not seen anything to indicate that she is not any of those things. Alice says, I agree too. Although I don't think she likes women, I think she just wants to be seen as a feminist. Yes, but really, it's not a true feminist. Karen says, good morning, everyone. Also from sunny Northern California. Oh, Sanju again. Because it's called criticism because she's doing things wrong and I'm calling her out. Again, definition of criticism, the expression of disapproval of someone or something based on perceived faults or mistakes. That's called criticism. Christina says, I would not be surprised if Archie ends up in CHLA transitioning. Okay. Again, sadness, but when she said a lot of her friends, children were in children's hospital, that's kind of the first thing that came to mind. Either that or she has an incredibly unhealthy friendship group, or there's a lot of kids in there transitioning, which is sad. And again, we did have Harry that one time wear a hashtag girl dad t-shirt, which doesn't make any sense because girl dads are men who only have daughters. So Shah says, Megan thinks we are still in the 50s where women don't have a voice. That is her problem. Yeah, she is utterly, like, she's so regressive because she has to, I feel like she's trying desperately to have a point or something. I don't know. It's like, is like, if your best friend is Gloria Steinem and you're thinking Gloria Steinem, like when she started, like, I feel like Megan is there trying to like recreate the Gloria Steinem world. I'm like, we've moved a lot past since then. I feel like we're almost on the tail end of people being sort of annoyed with the feminist movement because it hasn't been all that helpful in some aspects to women. It has and it hasn't. Blessing all. There's nothing Megan can do right in your eyes. I actually did say the other day that I didn't think her outfit was half bad. If she does something well, I'll call her out for it. If you've actually watched the channel, you'll know I'm pretty forgiving to Harry and Meghan in some ways. I criticize them a lot because they do a lot wrong. Yep. Rich says Harry has nothing else to do. He's so bored with himself. Yes, he is. And he wants his old life back. That's what he wants. Letitia says, like, he wants his old life back where things were easy, where he wasn't with Meghan. Like, he's trying to regurgitate his pre-Meghan life. Why? Because maybe his Meghan life is hard. Letitia says, good morning. How gorgeous Princess Kate looks. Greetings from beautiful day in Connecticut. Maya and Lily say hi to Miss Pippa. Why, thank you. Demetra says, kisses to Miss Pippa. Why, thank you. Gretchen says, if people like Prince Harry and Meghan Markle and others has simple definition for bullying and misinformation, anything we disagree with, 150%. That is what people are complaining about, the things they disagree with. And you can disagree, but they never seem to, they just throw out slurs, but they have no good arguments. You'll notice they have no good arguments. Like when I call something out, they're like, well, they sidestep and go to something else. It's like they can't argue because they have nothing. Water, Brittany, thoughts on Princess Catherine retiring her engagement ring for an eternity ring? I think it's interesting. I hope that I actually did a whole video on the engagement ring and I actually came to really like it as I was doing it because it's kind of grown on me. I kind of like how the ring stands out because of the color and stuff. And yeah, so it's like the eternity band, I think is kind of like a good change. And if she's doing it because she feels more comfortable with it or she just wants to retire the ring for a bit, hey, more power to her. But I hope to see it back. Aw, Sanju. Brittany, there are billions of people and parents all over the world who blame social media and want censorship. Well, that is very telling. Censorship is bad. Censorship is bad. Yes, yes, it is. Now, granted, obviously, terrible things that pop up online should be like, animal torture has been put online, things related to humans, very horrible things. But don't blame social media. Blame humanity. Humanity is the problem. It's not social media, it's humanity that's on social media. So changing social media will not change humanity. Those things will still exist. Those things always have existed. We just put it on the internet now. And if you want censorship, then you want to live in North Korea. I heard Pyongyang is gorgeous this time of year. Go and live there. If you want to live under a life of censorship, enjoy North Korea. Elizabeth says there is no blaming families. Do they hear themselves? That's all they do. Yeah, they blame his family for everything. 100%. Mima says Catherine's train band is quite lovely. Maybe the engagement ring is too big. I don't think so because like you can there's like different things you can do. I just think maybe she's just like, I really just want to wear this for now. I just want to be low key and the engagement ring seems too flashy. But it's kind of funny because she's worn the engagement ring for a long time, even like digging in dirt. So it's again a big change. Why would you allow your social media? This is from Asma to be on social media at 8. I don't know, but I feel like Meghan and Harry would be those people who give their kid a tablet and go in that other room and distract yourself. That seems to be the parents they are because they're like, well, if the kid is in a room with the tablet and something bad happens, I'm like, why is the kid in the room with the tablet by themselves? Mm. Carla says, even if we were to criticize, she didn't take notice, which is good. But at the same time, read the comments, Megs, and take it on board that thousands of people know you're acting your way through all of this. Yes. It's like, I'm sorry, but I'm not convinced by any of her narcissistic delusions. I'm not, I don't buy into the fakeness. I see through it. I think you're fake. I think you're fake as heck. And I see it a lot of other people do too. And I knew you were I knew she was going to be problematic from the beginning because she immediately started courting the press. I'm like, oh, she's a desperate D-lister, isn't she? Honestly thought the initial stories were fake because I'm like, how in the world could this no-name actress from Suits, who I had never heard of, and I follow Hollywood pretty closely, somehow connect with Harry? That just seems so weird. Shaz says, if you give a damn about your children, you are the one who makes sure they are safe. No, it's no one else's fault because you're too lazy to do the parenting job you've been given. Exactly. Parenting, I've seen too often parents, or I feel like anymore, and my sister can attest to this because she is a teacher, is that oftentimes parents, they want the school to raise their kids, basically. They come to school now because she's taught at a lower grade level, completely, in some ways, inept to do anything even put on their coat, tie their shoes, really simple things because their parents do everything for them, or they don't know how to behave because their parents never really forced them to behave or do anything or hold them to account, because I think there's a lot of lazy parenting out there anymore. Just saying. DS says, how was your trip? Did you learn anything new? If so, will you implement any new ideas? Yeah, so it's mostly for the fashion channel. I enjoy going to those events, partly because I get free stuff, not gonna lie. I always I get these pens from them. It says YouTube shopping. And I kind of like the pens, so I get the pens. So I liked it because I feel like I get an infusion of ideas, and I won't share too much because obviously you don't want people to, I don't know if steal is the right word, but I do have finally an idea for a history channel because I've wanted to do a channel on royal history for so long, and I just don't. Well, number one, I don't get the time, and I want to make sure I really know what I'm talking about before I've done my research, or I feel comfortable with what I'm saying is pretty true. But I kind of decided what I'm going to do is I'll probably launch it in the new year. I don't have a name for it or anything yet. I'll have to think of that. But one of the things I'm super excited about is obviously YouTube likes shorts a lot, and they're going to be expanding shorts to 3 minutes long. And I can do a 3 minute short on like one little bit thing about history. Now that might not seem like much, but I have the book. Of course, it's in my bedroom, not here. But I've mentioned it to you guys a couple of times, and it just has short blurbs, probably at most like 1,000 words on a British monarch. And when you go through that, I think it's just fun because you just get a little bit of the highlights. So it'll be something that starts off more as just like you could call it a highlight. Here's what you need to know. Here's two things you need to know about the Habsburgs. Here's a thing to know about King Edward the Confessor. Like simple things, which might seem like just a little bit, but I don't have time to do longer content on history, but I would really, really, really like to do kind of shorter content. And then they did share, at least for the fashion channel. What I'm trying to do is figure out how to, because I know people love royal fashion. I know what they want to implement it into their own wardrobe. I haven't quite figured out how to totally do that. And I don't want to ever be too salesy, because I think that's kind of a turn off. At least it is for me. But what I want to try to do is they did give us like a little challenge with like a little commercial thing. So I'm going to be working on that and showing that off on the fashion channel within the next week or so, because I have a fantastic idea and I really want to do it. So we shall see it, because it's like an idea I feel like only I can do. So anyways, we will share that. And yeah, so it'll be a couple of things. I wrote down some notes, but I'll have to look at them again. I'm kind of like still off on my time zones. And so I was ended up being up really late last night, and I didn't get a ton of sleep. And again, like I said, I went to bed super cold, woke up super hot, because it's just one of those weird times a year. And so I'm just going to have to figure some things out. But I like going to those because I feel like I get an infusion of creativity. So we will be trying different things. And again, the fashion channel is going to keep chugging along, but there will be a royal history channel at some point, hopefully in the new year, which just has, little bits of history. And it'll be nice too if I end up spending as much time in Europe in December as I'm planning to, because then I can actually add a lot of bits from those trips. So anyways. So Cheryl says that Archie has grown up watching Harry enable Meghan. So unfortunately, he has learned his place in the pecking order. Sad. Yes. I included that in my video too. Meghan's pretty much emasculated Harry. So it doesn't look good for Archie. But we don't know. Things could totally change. Stephanie says, I can't get over how few people call out Meghan for being like 30 years or more out of date with her feminist talk about the problems facing women. Like she's stuck in the ways things were when she was a kid. Yeah, I agree. And I think, of course, when it comes to women in Africa and Asia and in certain places of the world, of course, women are treated pretty terribly in certain worlds. But that's not here. That's not here. I would, in fact, argue women have had more power than they've ever had. In fact, a lot of people who I kind of talk with discuss how, in Hollywood, at least with the Me Too movement, it started off as something to respond to what was going on, but it was also used by women to basically empower themselves and get rid of the men they didn't like. So Jelly Bean says they sell children's tablets that only have children's games. Yes, I would. I mean, I'm sure that happens, but I would still be really hesitant to give my child anything that had access to the internet, even if it was quote unquote like restricted or something. Gosh, there's so much that can get through anymore. Allison says adults are buying accidental fentanyl from Snapchat too. That's just crazy. Lindsay says, I think Catherine's ring maybe not appropriate for the occasion. I would say that, but she guys, it is very, very rare she ever doesn't wear her ring. Very, very rare. Like only a handful of cases in the 10 plus years since she's married into the royal family have we not seen her wearing that ring. She's worn it on every trip. She has worn it digging in the dirt. Like she wears it all the time. So it's a very big change. Azima says, I had parental controls until I was 13 and then wasn't allowed to get on social media until I was 16. Yeah, social media, thankfully for me, wasn't around until I was 18, really. So it wasn't really a thing I had when I was growing up. And I think I'm better for it. And yeah, parental controls, like we had computers in our rooms, but they weren't connected to the internet. Like there was no way to connect them to the internet. And so like I could write things, I could do solitaire, but that was all I could do. Ivana says, "Hello, Brittany. You are looking lovely as you always do. I like your fashion style and how you style your hair." Why, thank you. Even when I was turning this on this morning, I was like, "Oh, I don't know if I clipped my hair quite right." I mean, if you saw my hair in person, you might not think it looks that good, but I appreciate that the lights make it look lovely. Creative Chaosify says, "This is just your daily reminder that Montecito is built on land stolen from the Chumash people. Harry's and Meghan's mansion is built on sacred burial grounds." I wonder if they'll have a poltergeist type situation. I kind of want, I'm not a big scary movie person, but I do kind of like watching some scary movies around this time of year. Asma says, "I would never allow my kids to have social media. I would tell them to go play outside." Yep. Yeah, there was a video of a dad who like forced his son to go outside to play. And the son's like, "Well, what do I do?" And his dad's like, "Just do something. I don't care." Mademoiselle Rhapsody. Megan is not a feminist. You can tell real feminists today. They're the ones protecting female sports, like Riley Gaines, American hero. Yep. Gretchen the First says, "Princess Catherine not wearing a ring could be innocuous. My engagement ring got damaged, and I once had it off. I realized I prefer wearing my wedding ring, which is just an eternity band." Yeah, could definitely be the case. Could definitely be the case. Stephanie says, "Watch Palace Confidential. They explain what William thinks of Sophie and Edward and why he thinks they may like to use their kids. Also, watch the interview with the terminal cancer girl, Catherine hugged." Yes, I didn't mean to watch that, but I will have to say again, I just don't think Lady Louise and James. I can get where he's coming from, but I find that really hard to believe. Eva says, Eva Williamson, "Good morning, Brittany. Good morning." Gretchen says, "I get so sick of feminists like Megan talking about girls needing so much while destroying girls' sports, which are one of the best places to develop traits like teamwork, grit, etc." I agree with that. Holy. Janet says, "Parents, keep your kids off the internet. Know what they have access to. Children can have phones with no social media access. Same with laptops." Yeah. It's a parenting thing. It's a entirely a parenting thing, which I feel like Harry and Meghan ignore entirely. Like, again, the parents network, parents aren't to blame. Well, then what did the parents do? Like, how are they supposed to help anybody if they go, "Well, it's not our fault"? It's like, we're not saying it's your fault, but what decisions do you regret now that you would like to give to other parents to maybe avoid the same heartache? Because I can guarantee you they do have a regret in there somewhere. And I don't think it's healthy for them to go, "Oh, it's not our fault." You know, because I think one of the facilitators says, "Well, this was something happened to you, not something you did." I'm like, but we all make decisions. Like you're completely ignoring any of their culpability in this, which I don't think is healthy for them. I think it's healthier and it's more beneficial to acknowledge where, you know what, I wish I had not given my child a tablet when they were 10 years old. I wish I had monitored their internet access more. So that way they could give their lessons to other parents. How can they help other parents if their first response is, "Well, it's not our fault"? Yeah. Joe DeVave says, "Kids and social media is more nuanced than Harry and Meghan realize. Social media is designed to be addictive and kids need to be protected. While parents do have a part to play, companies need to be held responsible as well." I mean, I kind of disagree with this. A company is a company and they're supposed to make money. That's what I think Harry and Meghan, I mean, it's deeply, deeply nuanced, but Harry and Meghan, I don't think are bright. And so they're coming at this with incredibly simplistic, "Oh, change everything." Well, I mean, even if it's meant to be addictive, and it is, 100% is, we all have the capacity to make different changes and decide not to be on social media, limit our time. You could have a timer every time you go on Instagram. You have a, let's say, 5 to 10 minute timer. And as soon as that timer goes off, you have to put down Instagram and you don't open it again. Like there are things we can do just because they've made it addictive doesn't mean you have to be addicted to it. That is where again the human autonomy, the personal autonomy comes into play. And I feel like Harry and Meghan don't want to admit any personal autonomy. I don't like the idea of social media companies changing everything to fit the needs of certain people. And it's one of those things where I think sometimes it's best for social media itself to work out the kinks. That's just my thought. Sylvia says merchandise to sell for Christmas season needs to be ready by the summer at the latest. Yep. Yep. Shaz says, the way Harry spoke on the podcast sounds like he allows his kids to be on tablet. I think they do. I think they 100% do. And they're in another room while their kid is using their phone. Because, I mean, that's basically what they said. Both of them in the CBS interview. Well, if your child is in another room, Harry said that. And Meghan said, well, the child could be under my roof and something could happen. And it's like, well, why aren't you watching your kids? It sounds like you guys don't watch your kids. Gretchen the first says, with ARO, you aren't in stores now. Too late. Yep. Good morning, Brittany and Miss Pippa from Fulong Yulong, which I think I pronounced wrong again. I gotta find my post-it. Stephanie said, in case I didn't make it clear, the interview with the terminal cancer teenage girl, that 2 photos were taken at the investigator talked with William and Catherine for half an hour afterwards in the Palace confidential video. Very cool. Sandra says the engagement ring was chosen by a sweet 19-year-old with very different personality than Catherine, Princess of Wales. Also bad vibes. Of course, it could be practical, too big right now. I don't think it has bad vibes because we proved it hasn't. They've been married well over 10 years now, and I think they're really solid as a couple. Maria says, good afternoon, everyone. Joy DeVivre. Kids age 5 and 3 should not be on social media. That's just bad parenting. Yup. That's what it is. Isa Texas says, good morning, friends. Today is all 3 of my son's birthdays. Well, congratulations. Did you have triplets? That's crazy. That's crazy. Water says, with the inflation, people are starting to Christmas shopping early. Meghan has missed this time that would have helped her. Yep. Caroline says, Gretchen, too funny. I hadn't worn my band either. Susan says, I think she may have been the plus one of the other woman. I think that's entirely possible. I think her friend definitely had the invitation, and I think Meghan squeezed in because Meghan needs some positive PR, and sick children can help her. Super Yeeby says, Harry has no education regarding anything. An expert at nothing. He can't even speak clearly. No, he can't. He can't. Again, he is trying so hard to be deep, and he's not. Meghan tries the same, and she's not. And so it doesn't work. Sherry says parents should censor their children. Harkles don't like the truth being told. Yes. You should censor. It's your responsibility. Why are you making a company do your job as a parent? Harry and Meghan are trying to make companies do their job as parents because they're too lazy to be parents, apparently. Ms. Be Kind says, good morning, I'm from California. I saw Prince William 5 or 6 years ago about social media and children. It's so different from Prince Harry's perspective. Yeah, I think there's a nuanced perspective there, and I think it's a good perspective to have that. I don't know what exactly his is, but I William has a more nuanced perspective on climate change too. He's like, well, let's try to find solutions. Whereas Harry's like, well, why don't you track your carbon emissions and, feel bad if you have too many carbon emissions based on the seat you choose on a plane, which is basically you have to choose economy from the guy who sits in first class or flies private. William is like, okay, we have this problem. Let's just work on a solution. But we have to live our lives in the meantime. I feel like Harry wants people to adjust their lives, but he doesn't want to adjust his. It's just like, ugh. Erica says, is there a mod? Sugar alert. I don't mind the sugars if they're not being super disruptive because it's nice to respond to them. Just to let's see here. Prince Harry has a job at Better Up. No, he doesn't. He has a glorified vanity position. Chief Impact Officer is not a job. It's entirely made up so that he can get a little bit of a kickback from the company, which probably will not survive forever. Nick Pearson says, I can only imagine the book deal Archie will be writing about their uninspiring parents. Yeah, I think so. Isa Texas says, once again, Meghan is turning the table. She's the most bully person in the world. Of course she is. Bobby says, hi all, glad I caught a live stream. Steven says, Limonada Media is looking to sell a company and looking for an investment bank to do it. Yes. Gretchen says, Archibald has the same problem as ARO. No clear mission and everything all over the place. Show up and do good. What kind of word salad crap is that? 150%. Harry and Meghan have no vision. They have no vision. They have zero. So it's not a surprise they're floundering because they have no vision for what they're doing. And they have no purpose. I had a vision for this channel when I started it. And I would argue that's part of the reason why it's been successful. I had an overarching vision. Now, granted, I've had to amend the vision as I've realized the constraints of certain things. So initially I wanted this channel to be entirely everything royal. But as time went on, I realized, well, that just doesn't quite work. Like I've even thought about potentially having like an offshoot channel like RNN Europe just to go over the European royals and just leave this maybe focused on the Brits. I'm obviously still have the Crown Report, and so that'll be next week too. But there's like an overarching vision because I wanted to talk about the royal stuff. I wanted to talk about the stuff I didn't see and those sorts of things. That's the vision I had. And so I created that vision. Like I hate the word manifest because I feel like it's a little bit overused, but it's like I manifested it in terms of I had a vision and I worked hard to see it blossom into something that was good. And you just gotta have that. Just gotta have that. And the thing is, it's funny because the Sussex stands will go, "Oh, well, without Harry and Meghan, you'd be nothing." I'm like, "No, I have a million ideas." The thing that constrains me is time, not desire to cover the other royals. I would love to cover the other royals more. I just don't have the time because editing all these videos takes a lot of time. It does. And so that's why the Crown Report is a live stream. And I do mean to break those up and put those individual episodes up. So I may do something with Maria's, adding some new information and stuff like that. And so you guys will see that sometimes, usually maybe in the morning. But it's kind of the example of like you have to have drive. And I don't think they have the drive except for the money. And without drive, you're gonna make it's just gonna be bad. Lee Wonka, she just said she was the most bullied. What about the kids who took their lives over being bullied? Did she not just talk about that on TV? The criticism she is subject to is because of her bullying. Yep. You gotta say alleged bullying because it's one of those things where it's alleged, but I mean, we got a lot of proof. Like, we don't have like I have to say alleged because we don't have like a recording of her screaming at an employee. Just for legal reasons, that's what you gotta say. Not that I actually believe it. Azuma says, "Who is the designer of that horrid wedding red dress?" It's Carolina Herrera, but I think it was somebody different from Carolina Herrera. It wasn't her. Bobby Estrella says, "I agree. Agreed. I feel like Meghan doesn't have any common sense, just like Harry." No, no, they really don't. They lack it for sure. Cheryl Duncan says, "Good morning from Southwest Florida. So glad to be here today. Power came back on yesterday, so I can be here today." Oh, that's so good. Congrats. Congrats. Bobby says, "I think for Meghan, she's too up on her own butt to know the press when press is bad press. The only person she cares about is herself." Yeah. And I will say 100% is that when it comes to, let's see, when it comes to like the truth, and because there used to be a saying, all press is good press. No, that's not the case anymore. That's definitely not the case. Bad press can hurt you. We've seen this, especially with like TV shows like The Acolyte. The bad press, the bad reactions can hurt you. Aw, Sanju says, "Brittany, you aren't the fashion expert at all." Never claimed to be. Fashion is also subjective. Have you seen some of the fashion experts? Like, some of them look like freaks, just saying. Babette says, "LOL, too true. The dress would get a goodbye on Project Runway." Yes, it would. It would. Like, it's so a Project Runway reject. I also enjoyed that show. I enjoyed how, and I actually watched a lot of, weirdly enough, because I don't have a single tattoo and I don't really plan on getting one, but I watched ink videos too. And I enjoy people who are creative talking about the creative process and how they had a vision for something and turned it into a reality. I enjoy that kind of stuff. I think it's amazing. Stephanie says, "Brittany, you've got to know quite a few people. As you've got to know quite a few people personally from tours who I presume know enough to trust. Maybe you could give them a mod staff so they could help the trolls in your life." Again, I don't think if they're saying something, horrid or something like that, and there are those people, like I don't mind. But if somebody's just trying to say, "Well, I have this opinion," I believe in free speech. I believe they should be. Now, again, if they're being incredibly rude, no. But if they're just trying to advocate for Harry and Meghan, I just let them. Just let him. Elizabeth Ween says, "I wonder if Megan put an awful red dress up for auction, she would make the same amount B did for interesting wedding fascinator. Of course, B gave her money to charity. Would Megan?" That's a big question. And maybe she could do that. I'm sure Megan thinks that her dresses would go like Diana's dresses did. I was like, no, Catherine's dresses would make so much money, especially that gold Jenny Packham dress. Oh. I'm also keeping an eye out. It was on the real ones, and it was actually my size, and it was like still $1,000, so I didn't get it. Keeping an eye out. I always wonder if like people would be interested in doing like a GoFundMe to buy like a really expensive like gown of royal just like having me review it. I thought that would be a really funny idea. Gretchen says, maybe Brittany, maybe in 2025 there could be a Harry and Meghan free days. Yes, that's what like I try to do with the Crown Report. So when I can. Again, this week because I was traveling, it just wasn't going to be possible. But I tried to do it. But yeah, we can try to do like a single day where we don't do it at all. Yeah. So Joy DeVive says their inconsistency is staggering. Meghan, according to herself, is not on social media, but their kids aged 5 and 3 are mindlessly scrolling, according to Harry. Oh, I'll have to look. If he admits his kids are on social media, goodness gracious is me. Isa Texas says, what is with that reptilian tongue when Meghan mask slips? It's creepy. I think she's just wetting her lips, but I don't know. It's weird though, because I don't feel like we get pictures of Catherine doing that. So I don't know if she's trained herself not to do that. Because one of the things I've trained myself not to do is say like, I try not to say, and you'll notice I don't say, very much. And so I've trained myself not to do it. I still do it on these lives sometimes, but I really don't do it too much. And oh my gosh, I was at the YouTube event and somebody kept going, oh my gosh. Like I'm so sensitive to it now. It's like when somebody says too much, I like lose my mind. Especially because it was like really profound ums, like every other. Oh my gosh. Okay. Anyways, Lynn says, I like to think that William and Catherine do their best to ignore the news about Harry and Meghan, but I like to think when certain things happen, the two of them smirk together over morning coffee. Oh, yeah. I bet you they are reading stuff and going, yeah. I think that's funny. Adopt GDX says, I was very happy to see Princess Catherine at the function, but she did seem a bit tired without her usual vibrancy. However, I do realize it was a somber occasion. Yeah, I think there could absolutely be a combination of things there. Christina said, any updates from Norway? I haven't heard too much except for the last thing I did for the Crown Report, which is obviously that his blood had cocaine, marijuana, and alcohol in it. So that's the last we heard about Marius, except for Met Marit undergoing more treatments for chronic pulmonary fibrosis, which again, interesting timing for that. Again, could be totally right. Could be totally like that's what needs to be done right now. But it's also very convenient because they're getting a lot of heat for not answering questions. And the thing is, if it was just him on his own private property, 20 miles away from his parents, having these kind of issues, then, it is what it is. But I think the issue is that his parents were well aware things were being stolen from their house. Government issued credit cards, silverware that was trying to be auctioned off, that their house was damaged by his parties. His house on their property was damaged. The crown princess met apparently members of the Hells Angels in Norway because they were at her house because her son invited them there. That is the problem. That's the problem. That's the problem. Sandra says, isn't a state visit by Qatar right now a bit controversial? The role in the Middle East is questionable at the very least. So when it comes to this situation, I won't go too into it because it's not really the purview of this channel. However, the state visit schedule is really usually set by the government. The government wants to meet with Qatar. Why? I don't know. I don't know exactly. Could be kind of related to oil, of course. And I will have to say the Emir of Qatar has been making his way through Europe. So he had not a state visit, but an official visit with, and it was a short visit, but an official one with the Netherlands. And I feel like a couple other countries I've seen him at too. And so I think it's been a change because there's an Emir Emeritus. So there is his father, the current Emir. His father is still alive. It's not like his father died. And so his father transferred over power. Now, interesting dynamics with the emirs in Qatar is that the Qatari Emir, the emeritus one, his favorite wife is his second wife, who is the mother of the current Emir of Qatar, because he has 3 wives. But his second one is Sheikh Samoza, is clearly his favorite because she goes to everything. She is always decked out and looking fabulous. And obviously her sons are the ones who are getting the power positions, not the first wife's kids. So anyways, very interesting power dynamics there. it's something that most royals don't deal with. Now, when it comes to obviously what's going on in the Middle East and all the conflict and everything, and whether or not this country is facilitating funds between others, like that is not, unfortunately, it's not really in charge. Like the having the Qatari emir there is actually a big surprise to me for their next state visit. But it is the one on the docket, the one the government feels comfortable wanting to develop further relationships with for whatever reason. Now, granted, obviously, a lot in the UK government want peace between Israel and Palestine. And so that could be an effort to get Qatar to help facilitate some of that. I don't think that'll go anywhere. But again, they're doing things based on what the government has requested. So that is what they're doing. Gretchen says, I have a brother who is a lot like Harry. Sadly, avoidance tends to be a sound strategy. Trying to re-engage can become like Charlie Brown trying to kick a football. You want it to work, but it goes bad. Yeah. Yeah, there are those people like that. There are those people like that. Steven says, the money to support royals is entirely funded by royal estates and investments. A fraction of the money is given in the sovereign grant. The rest goes to the UK government. Yep. And they do pay taxes on it. Creative Chaosify says the silver lining to Harry and Meghan's situation. A lot of people around the world learned about the narcissistic personality disorder. Hopefully it'll help people identify narcissists in their life. Hopefully so. Asma says, what is King Charles's first anniversary as king? It would have been, this is his second anniversary in September. I don't think he really did it. Melissa says, it's interesting to see behind the scenes use of how royal coverage works. Yeah, it's kind of complicated, and it's more complicated than you see. Is so much going on. So yeah. Rich says, riding the tube is wild. It's real tight and claustrophobic, but generally easy to use. I find it super easy to use. I love it. I really enjoy it. I really, really enjoy it. So yeah. Okay. Terry says Catherine is not the monarch. She doesn't need to disclose anything. I will agree to a certain extent. She does need to disclose why she's not working. I think that's pretty important. But I also think too, like we understand, like once you have some type of surgery like that and you're going to be out, like you just need to let people know. Water says the royal family are people too. They do not owe the world their medical history, but they don't lie. We knew about King Charles because King he had to. Yes. Beverly Todd says if Meghan had surrogacy, then the children do not qualify for the line of succession or titles. Yes, but I just don't think that's the case. Don't think that's the case. Yeah, Rich says I think a certain amount of disclosure is reasonable. Yes, because they are paid for by the taxpayers, and if they disappear for no inexplicable reason, it just doesn't come across well. But the need to dig and pry for information that is private for whatever reasons is off limits. That I would agree with. Yeah, so, like, when remember Catherine had her medical info violated when it was leaked at the hospital. It wasn't leaked, somebody tried to access it, but I think they ended up not being able to access anything. So Creative Chaosify says, "Female narcissists often dress and behave in promiscuous ways." Yeah, for the attention. Wendy says, "Meghan is an exhibitionist, rarely dresses modestly." Okay. Jen says Mary's Iceland state visit look was gorgeous. Love to see her in the pearl poirier. Yes, I did too. I was really hoping for the emerald, but she might be saving that for a different state visit. They have another one upcoming this fall, or because it can't leave Denmark, or she's waiting for the New Year's Eve celebration that they do every year, or the New Year's gala. Athea says good morning from Boston. Sandra says, I always wondered about women who go on and on about girl power. What about boys? Do they deserve to be heard? What if these women have a baby boy? Will they empower them too? That's, I think, always a challenge. If these type of women have boys, I don't know if they know how to deal with them except for to try to turn them into girls. And not saying like transitioning or anything like that, but they want them to be girls in the way that they want them to behave like girls, be like girls, and those sorts of things. I don't think they have as much, you could say, I don't want to say respect. That might not be the right word, but maybe indulgent or something towards the behavior of boys. I don't think they would be particularly happy. All right, Miss Pippa one's back up again. Water says you should do a video on tips for traveling. I know I can still get tips for my London trip. Azuma has given me great advice. Oh, good. Yes, I try to. It's not totally like the purview of this channel, but I do like sharing some of my knowledge I've gained over the years. Stop, stop. You can't, you don't need to kiss me all the time. Don't need to kiss me all the time. All right. Okay. P Pacific says Catherine's assistant Salas, an important supportive friend, Natasha Archer Jackson, who's been with her since Catherine Williams' marriage. Natasha's husband is royal photographer Chris Jackson. Yes, they've had a couple of staff members who've been with them for a really, really, really long time. And that's, I think, a testament. And there's been no complaints. And that's a testament to a good working environment. Kelly says Sussex followers need to be educated. Thank you, Brittany. Of course. Ruth M says, do you think that Meghan ever corrects anyone who calls her princess even once? Oh, no, never. If somebody called her princess, she'd be like, yes. She would 100% do that. Okay. Why are you, what? Okay. All right. I got a fussy little puppy here. Let's see. Jen Perry, since Prince Eddie was Edward VII's firstborn and Prince of Wales died of Spanish flu weeks before he was set to marry Queen Mary, history has not been kind to him, thus the Jack the Ripper rumors. Yes. Like it's just kind of funny. So Horror Beauty FX says, Brittany, why do you think the parliament has not taken the titles away from Harry and Meghan and the kids who have nothing to do with the country or the family? Again, I feel like the kind of the general sentiment is at some point things will kind of fix themselves. So just let it ride. Harry will divorce Meghan, and at some point things will kind of go back to homeostasis. But I don't think that's really the reality of the situation, if that makes sense. And again, I look at Norway, and I would think Norway was pretty solid. People really liked King Harold, and they still like King Harold. They just don't like Crown Prince Haakon anymore, or Princess Mette-Marit, his sister. And so their next generation has a big, 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 big problem. Oops, sorry. Somebody is Miss Pippa was attempting to put somebody at a timeout. She didn't mean to, though. I don't think we did. So, but she didn't mean to. She was just putting her paw on the mouse. Yeah. Yeah. So I think they think things are simple, but they can turn really in the wrong way. So Gretchen says, not to bring politics into this, but Meghan Markle and Kamala Harris has similar problems. Disinformation, criticisms, AKA or whatever, makes them look dumb. Yeah, I just hate the notion that, it's misinformation. I don't like that generally because I feel like it's so vague and means everything and nothing. And I feel like oftentimes people use the moniker of misinformation to just basically say it's information I don't like about myself. Yeah. The Love Lee says, a message to Sussex Squad. Can you name one nice thing about Catherine? I've never seen you compliment her. I think she is. Yeah, they have a hard time. Tori says, Brittany, do you do an amazing job? Out of any royal reporting, I go to you since you tell the truth. Sugar sleep Brittany alone. Oh, I thank you. I thank you. Like, I don't mind responding because I feel like it's a good time to educate. Although sometimes it's like people just don't want to leave. And it's like, okay, you said your piece. I've responded a couple times. Like, do you not have something else to do? Especially because it's like you have something else you can be doing. I'm sure you can. To Anne says, I love how outspoken you are. Keep it up. You are on fire today. Why, thank you. Creative Chaosify says, I was born in a socialist country with censorship. People who spoke freely disappeared in the night. Only evil people advocate for censorship. I do kind of believe that. I do. If people want to believe the earth is flat, more power to you. I can think you're an idiot, but hey, you should have the right to think that. So, and if you think Meghan Markle is the greatest human being alive, I mean, sure, you're allowed to think that. But I'm also allowed to have my opinion. And other people are also allowed to have their opinions. And they're allowed to criticize certain people. Again, keep it above board. Keep it to advocating and talking about like the issues, not necessarily the person. Like you can criticize the person's decisions, stuff like that, but like I try not to criticize totally Megan's features. Occasionally, it's hard because it's like that one picture of her at the event at the hospital. It's like she just doesn't have a great profile. But I try to avoid comments like that for the most part because I want to talk about actual real issues, not superficial things. Helen says this board is brilliant today. I've tried so many times to get a good confab out of a sugar, never managed it yet. Yeah, you'll never get a good conversation because they can't have a good conversation. They just can't. They don't know enough to have a good conversation. Sharon says, I think you've really grown over the years. I never thought you were bullying. Sometimes in the past you may have sounded edgy, but I have seen your journalism style grow and become very fair. Why, thank you. I really try. I really try. I really try. I do have people in my life who keep me honest, not the Sussex Squad people because they don't know what they're talking about, but I like other people who keep me honest. Jess Ospina, she's very fake. Since the engagement interview, I knew. Yeah, she's wholly fake. Jennifer says, wow, I collect pens. Love the color. I know. I actually got 2 of them. I actually stole a second one because it was free with the book. And I was like, yeah, I'll take the other one. I have pens here too. Like I have so many pens, guys. I actually need to go through and I should just donate a bunch of my pens because I have too many pens. So many pens. Because I was like, oh, I like these ones. These ones have color. These ones have cool color. I don't need more pens. Janine says, my children didn't have cell phones until they were ready to drive. And it was just a basic phone. No computers until they were in high school. Yeah. I mean, it was very new, but it was partly my time in life, but I had like a chunky brick Nokia for my first phone. So we had the snake game. That's what I had. And says, yes, a history channel. Rich says, I'd love to hear a history on royalty, especially royal families in the past centuries who had lots of scandals. Yes, because there's so much to discuss, legit. Azuma says, Royal News Network, do you need any help with the history channel? Not yet, but we will see. So, all right. Amy G says, I agree. Without being a mean girl about everything, she comes up with facts and valid opinions without meaningless jabs. Elevated commentary, take note, sugars. Why, thank you. Thank you. Plum Happy says, I think the attorney ban is part of Catherine's reevaluating her life. Diana's ring is beautiful, but maybe not what Catherine would have chosen. Yeah, Catherine is actually, I would say, more demure with her jewelry than some other royals. Like Maxima loves the bling. And I love Maxima because Maxima loves the bling. But Catherine's, I think, a bit different. So Bobby says, yes, the Habsburgs are fascinating. The Bourbons, too, and the Danes. Oh, guys, there's so much. There's so much. There's so much. And so little time. But I have bookcases full of books. But I feel like if I can do things in small chunks, I think that would be great. Letitia says, good morning, Brittany. I just got on, had a doctor's appointment. You look beautiful. Why, thank you. I hope you had a good doctor's appointment. Joy de Vierve says, I think both parents, I think I pronounced that different every single time. I think both parents and social media companies have responsibilities. Companies cannot just shirk off their role. Social media is designed to push content that is addictive, and that's what addictive is, hate. But again, nobody's saying you have to be on social media. So if you don't like social media, you can get off, or you can again have the personal autonomy to minimize your time. Because yes, it is addictive, but that doesn't mean the addiction has to own you. They're a company. They want people to be on their platform longer because they make more money. Harry and Meghan basically don't want the companies to make money, just like they don't make money with what they do because they're incompetent business people. And so these incredibly incompetent business people are trying to give advice. And that's why nobody believes them and nobody's going with them. Jones, I would love a history of the royals. You would do great job, Brittany. Why, thank you. Gretchen says, maybe you could do a top 10 format of history countdown on things you need to know about a topic from least to most important. Yes. So it'll be short bites is kind of the idea. Jojo says, sugars are really pushing the bullying narrative as per instructions. Yes. They seem to be they throw around so many words, but they can't engage on any of the topics. It's kind of funny. It's kind of funny. Karen says, state dinner for Catherine might be tricky if she is on a special diet. Yes, I would say that. I mean, the advantage is that she is controlled within her own environment. So Buckingham Palace can 100% make a diet like, and make a meal exactly to the specifications that she needs. But yes, that is a distinct possibility because I think obviously internal, it might have had something to do with the digestion or something. Gretchen says, "Get a tablet that only has Wi-Fi only. Don't let them log in without you present." It's not really rocket science. No, it's not. But apparently to Harry and Meghan, it is. It's so hard. It's so hard. Karen says, "I love Catherine's new ring. I wouldn't want someone to wear someone else's ring." Yeah. His servant says she may have stopped wearing the ring with her weight loss while under treatment. Yeah. Jen Perry says, "Great to see Royal Fashion News more on Instagram." Yes, I'm trying. I'm trying, guys. We are getting this thing up and running. So yeah, if you want to follow it, just Royal Fashion News. It's like I'm trying to do more fashion IDs. And it does take time. I do utilize unidentified no more, especially just looking in their archives for things. Cause I'm like, oh yeah, that's that. But sometimes too, there's like an outfit Queen Maxima wore. I would have no like it's so nondescript, this dress, unless somebody told you or somebody like there is a woman who follows distinctly Maxima's fashion. Unless she figured it out or knew exactly what it was, I put it in the that's why I think as I'm doing these identifications, I'm really getting the sense more and more sometimes that sometimes I hate to say it this way, but sometimes I feel like some people are making stuff up. Because like I look at the stuff and I find all the pictures and I'm like, you can't tell which shoes those are. Like that dress is so nondescript. How can you possibly know which dress that is? Because you can't put it in the Google search and have it come up. Like you have to go to either the individual fashion site or somebody has to be telling you because there's just no way. There's no way. Like the dress Maxima wore this week, it's so bland and banal. Like there's no identifying feature that would make it actually easy to find for you. Like no identifying feature. Like there's just no way. There's just no way. So anyways, that's my opinion. Okay. Oh no, I did read that one already. Sharon says, I think the change in her okay. Yeah, I think I read that one. Okay, no, maybe not. I think the change in her ring maybe changes in her ring size due to cancer. Same thing has happened to me. Chemo and weight loss made my wedding rings too big. Yeah. Okay. So let's see. We should go ahead and wrap up here in a second, but I was just like, Stacy says, I detest shorts. Your knowledge of history deserves more. Do shorts pay the same? I've noted a trend on YouTubers do not opt for this. I really do not get it. Anyone, please enlighten me. So YouTube tends to push shorts more. My more thing is I would love to do long form, but long form takes a lot of time and I just don't have the bandwidth for long form right now. But I would really like to, and they don't make as much, to be quite honest. They don't. They don't. They can make pennies. But I love history and I want to talk about it more, but I don't really feel like it fits here because this is more about news and commentary. And I will put some things in the Crown Report from time to time because interesting note that they did officially identify Christopher Columbus's remains in the okay, there we go. But like when it comes to shorts, like YouTube does really like it. They're trying to commit with TikTok. And of course, I would like to do long things. I just don't have the time or bandwidth to do long things, but I can do something short. And I think sometimes too, like you can start a shorts channel and you can change it into long form and it works. Sometimes you can just do shorts and then change and then need to have a separate channel for long form. So I'll see where things land. But I think people sometimes like something shorts. I like shorts, to be quite honest. I've gotten to the point where I like them. I like them. You give me, you have a minute to tell me something. And that something has to be good. So I have a minute, or now, of course, they'll be growing up to 3 minutes to share something with you about history. And that might not seem like much, but let's say there was a show, about like queens in Africa or something like that. And one of the programs was Cleopatra. Like one woman says, don't care what the history teachers tell you. Cleopatra was black. And I'm like, no, she was Greek. Why? Because I can tell you why. Because Alexander the Great, he had 4 generals. I mean, he probably had more, but he technically had 4 major generals. They split his empire into 4 pieces. Ptolemy got Egypt. So he started the Ptolemaic dynasty, which was obviously Greek. And I mean, I'm sure maybe somebody who's native Egyptian married in, but the people who we consider now historically Egyptians are Coptics because we obviously had the invasions of the Arabs when it came to the spreading of Islam and everything in the 7th and 8th centuries and stuff. So they went over, through the north of Africa and then around and stuff. So, anyways, all that to say is that Cleopatra was not black. She was not black, y'all. She was Greek. Actually, most of the time in the Ptolemaic dynasty, they made brothers and sisters marry each other. Now, there's obviously so much more there, but I can do a 1 to 3 minute response explaining why Cleopatra is not black. She was Greek. So I can do something like that pretty easily. Anne says that which Palace Confidential talked about William's feels about Sophie and Edwards. I think it was the newest one. Antonietta says Prince Edward did several history videos years ago, and I found them very interesting. Mostly historical buildings, very beautifully well done. Oh, that's cool. And I think too, it would be easy to set up a tripod and do like within the Tower of London and do a 3-minute video in the Tower of London. I think that would be pretty easy. And again, it's kind of a short sync. But again, it's all about sometimes you just have to realize your limitations. KN Kiernan, thank you so much for the support. It was way more nuanced than that, Brittany. Even if parents don't allow it, they can have access at school or with friends, or the entire environment is against parents controlling social media use. Yeah, that is 100% true. Yeah, you can control a lot of stuff at home, but you can't always control what happens in the classrooms and stuff like that. And so, yeah, it's something where there's so much that goes into it. And I know people who are able to mostly keep their kids off the internet and social media. They don't really even have a TV, but they homeschool their kids. Like, it's a very conscious effort. I feel like because there is an ease with parenting in some ways, because you can sit your kid on a couch and give them a tablet and they'll be distracted for an hour while you get stuff done. That conscious parenting is really hard anymore because there's such an ease of convenience. It makes things a bit more challenging. And yeah, in school, you don't know what they have access to or what other kids have access to. Like, there was a situation in when I was younger where a friend of mine, her father was watching inappropriate things. She happened to see it and she made comments to me about it or something. And my mom found it written somewhere and freaked out. And I had no clue what this girl was talking about because I'm this innocent little bean. And I had no clue until she told me years later. And she's like, "You don't remember that?" I was like, "No, I don't remember that." But you don't know what your friends' kids have access to. So, I mean, there's so much that goes into this. But Harry and Meghan, again, their simple thing is, well, it's change the social media companies. Well, again, I go back to you can't change humanity. And humanity is basically encapsulated by the internet, like the dredges of humanity. The internet is like the 7th layer of hell, because it has all the vices of humanity contained in one place. So that's not an easy thing to fix. His servant says there's a Hell's Angels chapter in Norway. Yes, look it up. I looked it up. There's a Wikipedia page about it and everything. All right. Okay. Let's keep going. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. Maria says, love Snake Game. I still have it on my phone. I think I played the Snake Game while I was waiting for my mom to pick me up from my driver's ed lessons. Rit says, Brittany, you were doing great to defense of the sugars and trolls considering you don't have moderators. Brava. Yeah, I mean, I don't mind people to a certain extent, I think they're just starting to get annoying. But if they're not trying to insult people, then yeah. Saju says, Brittany, just invite Republic staff CEO Graham Smith and you'll know everything about Royals finances. Just do it. No, because I don't really care what Graham Smith has to say because he has an obvious biased perspective, which is he's Republican. He's a Republic advocate. So, of course, he's going to lead things to a particular conclusion. So, again, Miss Pippa. Sandra says, Brittany, thank you for being a great host. It's always fun and takes my mind off serious stuff that I worry about. Also, thanks everyone in the chat. This is a fun place. Yes, have fun, relax. And yeah, we all need a bit of distraction every once in a while. Let's be honest. Ray Carmichael says, I'm catching up with the replay crew. Our more says, our Norwegian Hells Angels sounds scary. So, yes. Bon voyage to King Charles and Queen Camilla. Yes, they will be. I mean, if you want to see them, I will try to find information and maybe post it on the community page too if you want to go and see them. And again, get there early. Don't drink a lot of water or eat a lot. Now, granted, of course, consider your own medical needs and type of thing. Stop, Miss Pippa. Consider your own medical needs. And so if you need to drink a lot of water because you have diabetes or something, of course, do that. But I'm just saying, just from personal experience, I would say have things available so that as soon as you're out, you can have a drink, but get there early. Don't drink too much, just so you are able, I mean water, not alcohol. Please don't drink alcohol while you're there. That's probably not going to be a good idea. But so that way you don't have to really use the restroom. Chat with people along the way and enjoy, and hopefully maybe you may get to see them. You may not, but it's just kind of fun. It's just kind of fun. Joy Deviv says there is a matter of ethics as well. If of course parents have a key role to play, but companies should not be allowed to profit off feeding highly addictive and damaging content to vulnerable kids. Well, that's not what they're doing. I think again, people think social media and they think kids. It's like, no, social media is meant for adults. I don't think kids should be on social media at all until they're 18. I don't think they should be on it at all because it's not meant for a child. It should not be meant for a child. Parents do put their kids on social media 100%, but it should be something where the kids don't have access to it can't log in until they're 18 because they don't need to be on there. They don't need to be on there. Why would they need to be on there? So, because yeah, some of it is damaging, but if you're an adult, it's not quite as big. Kimberly says, Real News Network is the best way to start my Saturday mornings. Aw. Right. Caroline says, we are all showing our age. LOL. Yep. Yes, Brittany, you're biased, so Graham can be biased too. He's just a non-royalist. Yeah, but I can also be biased and not put him on my channel because I don't really care about his opinion. All right, 600 need to hit the like button. Yes. Rich says, the only things kids should watch is Miss Rachel. Yeah, all right, guys, we will go ahead and wrap this up. We went a little long today. What did you think, Miss Pippa? Did you think you're just confused why I sit here and talk to myself in the morning and not talk to Pippa? Like, why are we not talking to Pippa? Oh, Joan says Cleopatra being Greek is something I didn't know. Bravo, Brittany. Yes, Ptolemaic dynasty. They were Greeks. Now, again, some from the local Egyptian population may have married in, but broadly, the Ptolemaic dynasty started with a Greek. So, anyways, interesting stuff. Love history. Love history. History is the best, isn't it, Miss Pippa? Do we love history? Do we love history? Okay. Yes. Okay, guys. So we will go ahead and wrap this up. Miss Pippa says, thank you for tuning in and thank you for contributing to her bone fund because she likes her bones. She likes her bones and she likes her treats. She's got whimsies this year. And thank you everyone who participated in her birthday. Metal Mayhem says, Sanju, thanks for the entertainment today. Yeah, we don't mind responding because we got something to respond. So yes, thank you guys so much for watching and we shall see you again so soon. Say bye, Miss Pippa. Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye. All right.